part about what we're doing is, hey everybody, welcome to the live stream. So one of the things that we're just going to continue our conversation. So one of the things with this is super neat. Is if you look in the chat, we've already have people from 4 different continents. So that's kind of cool. So we have somebody from Africa, we have Europe, we have Caracas, Venezuela, Puerto Rico, obviously Canada, the United States, craziness, Ohio, Greensboro, Cedar Falls, man, lots of people, super cool. Anyways, today's simple. Today is a little session that we get to sit and chat and have a conversation about, what's going on. We got another joiner here. Jim, how you doing, sir?
Good, Adam. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Oh, it's our pleasure.
Absolutely. Jim, I don't know if you've met Pat or Lon before.
I have not.
Awesome.
Hello, sir.
We're gonna here's my
do this. We got to do this the Irish way, Adam. Plancha to everyone.
Before we even started this conversation, so I guess before we went live, Pat and I had like a 10-minute Scotch discussion. So if that gives you an example of where this conversation is going to go to.
That's right.
This is really for everybody there that's watching, anybody who's in the comments. This is really an open forum for any of you to ask anybody that you see on the screen questions. You're going to have access to the top experts in the world here, and so nothing's off the table. I mean, you go so far as to touch on some of the hot topics that are in law enforcement in the news right now. I don't know if anybody will answer you. I know I personally will not. But if one of these other guys or girls wants to take a shot at you, they can do that as well.
Hey, Adam, I want to say something, and I just want to say I appreciate the work you've done putting this together. And I mean, all of the law enforcement officers out there need to understand just what an incredible project this was. And some of the events that have occurred, like the ILET conference, I was supposed to present there, and so were one of the SMEs that work for me. It's canceled, right? I mean, so the work that you've done in putting this whole thing together, you've given a great training opportunity that everybody's going to have access to this training. If they buy access, lifetime access, then they can go back and get it anytime they want. So if nothing else, I want to say thank you. I think you did a great job, an amazing job. And I really hope people understand just how phenomenal this is.
Well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. It's really neat getting, like I said, like I tell every single one of you guys when we have our private conversations. And so and this is kind of that into that looking glass for everybody who's watching, all the attendees, to see kind of how these things get put together. And here's the one thing I think that I really want to shed some light on for the officers watching this is that it's not a secret what we're doing, and it's not hidden knowledge, and it's not something that's you have to have some special key or be part of some special group to get access to it. You literally need to pick up the phone, or you need to get on the computer and send an email or call somebody. There's a very good chance that you're going to get on the phone with one of any of these instructors here, anybody who's close to you that's worth their weight in the law enforcement world as far as instruction goes. They'll answer your phone call and they'll give you answers to your question. It's crazy to me the amount of people that I still get calls and messages from, and they go, "How did you get Dave Grossman on your podcast? How'd you get him on the summit?" Well, real simple. I called him. I said, "Hey, sir, I'm a former infantry officer with Canadian Forces. I've followed you for a long time. I'm doing this now. We're training law enforcement. I'd love to have you involved." He says, "Absolutely, sounds great." It was as simple as that. It was 30 seconds. I think we really need to step outside of our bubble and reach out to try to get new knowledge from different places. And the number one part of that is just not being shy about it, right? Just reaching out and talking to people.
Yeah, pretty much. Most of the instructors that are out there, they're passionate about what they do. They're not doing it. Most of them aren't doing it because it's the only thing they could have done. They're doing it because of the passion that they have and the belief that they have, or serving their brothers and sisters that are wearing the uniform, and continuing to provide the best to them. So most of them are more than willing to talk.
That ties in with Copline is all about with our retirement pool that have left the department, left the job, retired for 5 years, 10 years, maybe 20 years, but they still want to give back to our brother and sister officers across the nation and in Canada. So it's the same mindset that they've had when they were on the job. They still want to be there for everybody else. So it's a good fit for us.
Yeah, I think that's with what's happening right now with the mass exodus of law enforcement. I mean, we could essentially call it, it's almost biblical in the way it's playing out right now. I really feel that those officers that choose to leave, and it actually comes up in the very first session of the summit when I just address everyone. I say our job with this summit isn't to convince you to stay in law enforcement. If you feel it's your time to go and you need to do that for yourself or your family, we want to support you 110%. It's how do we best facilitate that? Organizations like Copline do that, right? There's other organizations that help in the transitioning. And once those officers leave, though, nobody really leaves. Like it's not like you're out of you're still part of that brotherhood, sisterhood. And I think that's probably one of the most amazing things. I mean, obviously I had the same experience with the military. It's once you've been part of that group, it's kind of a lifelong thing, which is, I think, something that people maybe don't realize or they take for granted. And not a lot of people have what we have.
That's true.
And I agree with you, Adam. I would just have to caution folks, though, that if you're contemplating leaving, and I agree with you, everybody always asks me, because I started a little bit later. I was 28 years old when I became a cop. And I did things completely butt backwards. I was actually a DA who became a police officer, and that's like the whole crazy different story. And
Hey, you're muted, Adam.
Adam, you're muted.
I know. I'm talking to the people that are live on Instagram, fellas.
Okay.
I got so many irons in the fire right now. I was just telling our friends here on Instagram that have joined us that we're live on YouTube on the Tactical Breakdown page, or they can go to the ILET open group on Facebook to check out the live stream, what we're doing here, or you can just hang around on the Instagram. So
I thought I'd lost my hearing. I saw your mouth. You're doing this, and I'm like, I'm not
sorry.
hearing
Yeah, I should have prefaced that. We've played this game, I think, with all of you guys, except for Jim, because Jim and I haven't done like a one-on-one yet. We're going to be putting together. I'm in the process of, we're still editing the videos. Like, what people don't realize is there's over 80 hours of video content.
That's great. That is awesome.
And I'm editing it all myself. So, and I'm much more comfortable on the mat or at the range than I am editing video. So if that gives you an idea of how long it takes me to roll through these things. So, but we're in the process of editing it all. And one of the things I want to do is I'm putting together a blooper reel just for the instructor group. Because every one of you has some pretty funny moments from our conversations. So those are going to be just for us, though. Those aren't going to go out to the public. Maybe, well, we'll see. Maybe we'll raffle off like a one-time link for somebody who like donates $1,000 or something. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Yeah, that's the way to do it. I just want to see and make sure there's nothing here on the. If you guys see, so here's the other thing too. If you guys see something on the chat, let me know and I'll bring it up on the page.
Hey, you know what? Can we dive a little bit into this whole concept of everybody leaving law enforcement?
Yeah.
I would encourage, the folks that are out there that have invested the time, a huge amount of their life and what they've done to hone their craft. Before you leave, look at just changing location. Because there are still some places across the country that still are supporting law enforcement. And maybe what it is, instead of leaving outright, you find a place that is going to appreciate you. And there are places where that's still occurring. And all of those places are still struggling to find cops. Mm-hmm. So I think that there's an option before you leave, which is just change location.
Yeah.
And Adam and I talked about this kind of at length, is when people ask, I've been out 8 years. I retired. I'm going to be 63 here in a few months. So everybody said, hey, when are you going to retire? And we've all said the same thing. You'll know when it's time. I didn't set a target date. I could have stayed longer, could have gone into drop and all those things. But there's 4 questions that, and I taught my kids this. It was posted on my office door. No matter what you face, there's 4 questions you need to ask yourself, including, is it time for you to retire, and what are you going to do in retirement? And it's really simple. You know, what's the right thing to do, the right time to do it, the right way to do it, and what are the right reasons? And you really need to, if you're going to separate, and I say the same thing to military folks that are looking at transitioning and putting in their papers because they have to do it a lot further out. You know, we can give 2 weeks notice and retire. But I'd say the same thing to military folks that are thinking about transitioning is sit down and write those 4 questions out and write your answers down. And, you know, why is it the right thing to do? Why is it the right time? You know, are you doing it the right way? Because if you pull the plug out of being angry and pissed off at whatever, that say I had 8 police chiefs like in 26 years. Just about every one of them I wanted to quit. But if I did, well, that police chief was only there for 1.5 years or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it would have been a mistake because I was doing it for the wrong reasons, and I wasn't doing it the right way. So if anybody's really thinking about pulling the plug, especially call and talk to, and I know quite a few of the folks that are presenting, and I can tell you to every one of them, if you send them an email or drop them a text, you're going to get a phone call, and you're going to get you know, a couple hours of time. I had a guy call me just a few weeks ago after the 4th of July holiday weekend that I'd never met in person, but he had heard some of my my Taco Tuesday, Take Action, Crush Obstacle, Taco Tuesday things that I try to be upbeat about, and he had a really bad weekend. He's separated military, and all the fireworks triggered those responses. And he sent me an email, hey, you got time to chat? We talked for like 2 hours. So I know you guys would do that, and I know a lot of the other presenters are absolutely will take the time to sit down and listen and walk you through some of the decision-making processes. Because, man, if you pull the plug and then you regret it later, you will always regret it. And so that's not the way to go out.
Yeah.
Jim, so Jim being from Copline, Jim, you retired and you moved into working with Copline. That was one of the things. So the first session of the summit is actually a video of you and Stephanie, and you share a little bit of your experience in the exact thing that we're talking about, right? So,
right.
I mean, I think it's a universal concept. Like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah. So let me tell you what Copline, first of all, is. It's a nonprofit, and we are answered the phone call, the hotline, by retired cops across the. We have officers from various ranks, various agencies, PD, sheriff, you name it. And what we have is a 24/7 operation where any officer, active duty or retired, and their family members that are dealing with an issue or problem or a full-blown crisis can reach out and call our 800 number. So the good thing about Copline is we're completely confidential. The officer does not have to tell us his or her name. And once they vet us, because as cops, obviously, we all vet each other, just like you vetted Copline before you asked us to participate, and we're grateful to be here, by the way. Once the caller vets us, they trust us, then it's on. They tell us all their problems, all their issues, because they do not want to release that to their department for obvious reasons. I mean, we're going to probably get into that later on when my partner, the founder director, comes on the line. So they have that environment to feel free to talk about their issues, because clearly right now in law enforcement across the nation, Canada, internationally, officers are reaching their limits, whether it's the streets, the protests, COVID-19, the fear of taking that thing home to their family, kids, operating under the new restrictions that they have, or just society against enforcement in general and the anti-police sentiment. So right now, officers need a resource to turn to. And like you mentioned earlier, there are many out there, but we are the one that's confidential. and we just talk to the officer, whether it's 2 minutes or 2 hours, and we're going to be there for them to find out and identify some tools or some ways for them to think about how we can go ahead and work together to provide them some support. And if that officer does require some support, mental health professionals, then we put them in contact with the vetted list of professionals that we have at Copline. So it's a win-win for everybody. We always want to retire folks. That's the benefit of being here with you, Adam, tonight and the whole week. That if there's anybody that's viewing this right now that has contacts in the retirement community in any agency, we would like to have them forward Copline information, because on our website, you can obviously see there's a button for volunteer. And we do need cops right now that are retired to help us out with our shifts. It just has to be that way, because obviously our brothers and sisters need help right now, and they have to turn to somebody.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Few quick things. One, somebody just asked, what time do we start tomorrow? So here's the deal with the summit. Here's how this works. Tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. So it depends where you are in the world, because I think we have people from 14 different time zones. 6 a.m. Eastern Central Time, 6 a.m. Eastern Canada, North America time. Yes. We're going to send an email out to absolutely everyone, and that's to the full page, the day one page. We're going to be time releasing the content. There's so much content that we don't need to let you loose on everything right off the hop. So we're going to do time release each day. Same thing works for the membership. So you'll have access to the day one in the membership side of things, but the rest will be locked off till the end of the summit. It also gives me and my team time to put everything in it and put it together. So thank you for your question. Now here's something else that's really interesting that I think is the coolest thing about this so far. We have literally people from 5 different continents on board right now. Like when we talk about being international, I mean, how much more international does it get than having people from 5 different continents? It's interesting. We had, there's Ben. Ben, what's going on, brother?
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Everybody says Ben. He's with Complete Threat Preparedness, military veteran, and buddy of mine. And buddy, again, appreciate you taking the time to come on, man.
Thanks, man. Good to be here. Hi, everybody.
So to continue with what I was saying, it's really an international conference. I mean, we have speakers from 3 different continents, right? 5 countries. But we have attendees from over 30 countries around the world. So that's pretty spectacular, from just the amount of people that understand that this is information that we need to get out there to people. Super cool stuff. Had a question on, somebody sent me a private message here about and this person's a military police officer. So they had basically said that for them and for a lot of the people that they know, the transition out is basically because of the remuneration from their position. Because right now there's, on the civilian side of things and the private side, there's a lot more money out there to be had than working as a uniformed sworn police officer, right? On this summit, we have James Hamilton, who's the VP for Gavin DeBecker and Associates, who is one of the premier close protection agencies in the country. And they said their phones have been ringing off the hook with applications. And it's because we have all these very, very highly trained and experienced individuals who are now like, why am I holding out for $55,000 a year when I can go make double that on the private side of things, and really the risk goes down tenfold. So it's almost, how do you stop that person from going there? Right. It's crazy.
There's a danger in that. And a couple guys I see are nodding their heads is, if you're leaving for money and the bigger paycheck, and you're a high drive guy in uniform in civilian policing or military policing, let me tell you, in the corporate world, long periods of extreme boredom are going to be the way of life for you in many of these industries. And yeah, they may be paying great wages. But if that's why you're leaving, I would caution you to, man, really sit down and think differently. If you're burned out in your current position, and I worked everything but internal affairs and dispatch, and there were some, and we were a 500-man department, so we were pretty good size. Yeah, if there's other opportunities within your agency to change your function or your MOS if you're in the military or whatever, take a look at doing something different where you're at than to just jumping ship to go to a different ship. Because I'm telling you what, in every one of the guys that are in civilian policing that are presenters will tell you, it's just the faces that change in agencies, that morale sucks everywhere, really. And so jumping from one ship to another may be a Band-Aid, but just be careful, because that may be a good move at a time, but it's still a stressor in your life. And that's why I have those 4 questions that you really, our 12-year-old son, or when he was 12, he got a case of the ass and attitude, and started blaming his teachers for his poor grades and everything. And I made him write those 4 questions down, and held him accountable for his attitude, because his attitude was driving his behavior. And so just be careful that the grass may look greener on the other side, but it doesn't always necessarily stay that way. So when people are talking about either walking away before you have your pension time in, and so you're not going to get anything financially out of it, or you're sick and tired and burned out, talk with somebody that's been there and can walk you through it. I mean, I got sued in federal court in 1983, hung over my head for 2 years. I got sued for false arrest, and this was back in the 90s. And to this very day, I have never laid eyes on the guy that sued me. I never arrested him. We never had a hearing. I mean, this was such a bogus complaint, but it hung up in federal court for 2 years. And we wanted to refinance our house, and I couldn't, because I was being sued personally and professionally. And so I get the stressors that really bring you down in doing the job you always dreamed of doing. But just be very patient and cautious before you decide to pull the plug.
Yeah. There's over 100 people on this stream right now. I don't know. I feel like I really wanted to do this thing where I just give away a bunch of shit on this session. I don't know what it was. I just feel like that. So there's 100 people. So I don't know. What should we maybe ask the attendees a question? What would be, we could ask them a question. We could have them give us some answers about something. Is there a question that any of you would want an answer to from 100 different officers?
Well, let's see if people know history.
Okay. All right. So, okay. Well, let me hear your question first before I say what we're going to go with. What's the question?
The concept of contact and cover resulted out of a law enforcement incident that occurred in what park?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I think I know the answer to it. I'm probably way wrong, but that's okay. Here's what we'll do. I'll give a free all access pass to somebody if they get that question right. So first person to get that question right, I'll give you a free all access pass to the summit. Oh, Ben, put your hand down.
Everybody's Google searching it right now.
Repeat the question. Contact and cover. Where did
contact and cover? One of the major events that occurred was a law enforcement shooting. Somebody got it. I'm seeing it. Nope. I'm seeing the answer. Let's see. Your first correct answer on mine was Drew.
Drew, yeah, that's what I got too. Grape Seed Park. Grape Seed
Park.
Cool. Okay, I was completely off. So give us the context then now, so that people understand what you're talking about.
Right. So the concept of contact and cover. We have a cover officer. Hold on, my dog wants my attention.
That's the bane of my editing existence.
Yes, he is. That's your hot take for all of the mistakes.
Yeah.
We have a really famous law enforcement event that occurred where multiple officers end up losing their life, and the principles or the tactic of contact and cover was really started there, where we have an officer that's sole responsibility is the safety, the cover officer, and then the contact officer is the mouthpiece, the hands-on, everything else, so that we know that we don't have these major divided attention aspects. And you know, I laugh to some degree that I think one of the biggest mistakes that law enforcement makes is we don't remember or learn from our own history. You know, you ask a Marine why the stripe on their pants is red, what that means, what that signifies. Marine knows what that means. But cops, we don't always remember our history. You know, we don't remember where contact cover comes from. You know, it's amazing to me that I still have officers to this day. When I start to talk, I'll bring up the Kyle Dinkheller video. And I've got, you know, some of the newer cops now go, what is that? I'm like, you know, because when we grew up, right? I mean, the Dinkheller video was something we all saw, we all, you know, we're learning from. And I've been fortunate. I've actually worked with Kyle's dad, Kirk, personally and professionally on some stuff. And oddly enough, I actually share a birthday with Kyle, but you know, we don't know our own histories. Ask somebody to give you the foundation of Graham versus Connor. Right? Lay out just the basic principle of Graham versus Connor decision on how that thing started. Most people don't know. Tennessee Garner. Most people don't know. We don't know our own history, and I think we're losing a lot of lessons because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. What is this? Dinkheller video is shown at our academy. It's a popular one. Very, very few officers know about the Newhall incident.
It's true. It's another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. There's lots.
You can find a complete, and it's online, a complete breakdown of the Newhall incident. To include, there's actually photos of the officers' bodies, unfortunately, stacked side by side. You can find that online. But again, you're right. I mean, those are all lessons that we should be learning from, and it seems like we keep repeating them because we're not learning from them.
I think that's the biggest thing with what we're in right now. And if people haven't realized this, you're in history. If you ever wanted to be something that's part of the history books, you're in it right now. This is going to be told for generations and generations and generations, the time that we're going through right now. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I don't think anybody has any answers. I mean, all of you know this. I've had personal conversations with you about the things that are happening with use of force and with all these different things that come out of this. Nobody has any answers. All the politicians are shooting from the hip, and no one's really consulting any experts, it seems, about anything. So that's fun for everybody.
Well, we've got this bizarre social experiment going on in multiple locations. You're going to see legal challenges that I think at some point in time, some are going to rise to the level of Supreme Court to challenge some of these decisions that have been made. So you're right. I mean, we're far from the pendulum being completely done in its motion. But like everything, eventually, I think pendulums do change direction. And I hope the flip side is actually I hope we don't overcorrect. I mean, because most law enforcement officers, I mean, we're all about protecting people's rights and those kind of things. I don't want to see it go too far the other way either.
Yeah. I think one of the biggest elephants in the room that people don't want to talk about is there is a complete misunderstanding of the warrior mentality and warrior mindset in law enforcement and what cops perceive that as and what civilians and politicians see it as. And it would be absolutely impossible for law enforcement to do their job of protecting the citizens without a warrior mindset. And people hear that and they think, oh, a warrior mindset, oh, you want to go out and kill people. And that is not what the warrior mindset is about. and it's more than just defensive tactics. That's an aspect of it. But cops have this calling and responsibility and authority to stand up and defend the least, the last, and the lost in our society. People don't call us to come over, hey, would you like to come in and have a cup of coffee? They're calling us because, my 9-year-old, we get a family trouble call. And we get there, what's the problem, man? My 9-year-old stole $30 out of my purse and went and bought candy for all his buddies. And the only people they know to call are the police. And so our functions are so diverse. And in the training in the military, for the military folks that are transitioning out, that come out of security forces or military police, I'm telling you, I know from experience. Our son was security forces. And I've trained thousands of military cops, from Marines to Army to Air Force. And the overwhelming mantra is we eat our own. And so that takes a toll on your warrior mindset. It takes a toll on the servant leadership mindset in police officers. And we've reached I don't know if we've reached the pinnacle yet, but we are at a threshold of the response coming from police officers is, fuck it, I'm out of here. I am done. Well, what happens when there's nobody else left with the warrior servant leader mindset to go out there and protect and serve our communities? And so I think that's the big elephant that politicians don't understand, activists don't understand. We're talking, Adam, politicians are shooting from the hip. A lot of cops are shooting from the lip. That they're just that gut reaction, knee-jerk reaction is, fuck it, I'm done. Mm-hmm. I'm retired on duty. I'm a tweener. I got too much time on to walk away, but not enough time to retire. And they're going to find their cubby hole and quit on duty. And that is a tragedy to the people that are counting on us to protect and serve them. And so I think that's kind of the police reform that everybody wants to talk about is it has to be very strategic. And Sun Tzu says, the greatest chances of success are not through external imposition of rules and laws and procedures. It's internalization. And so we need to get law enforcement to internalize and listen to some legitimate complaints, but we also need to get the community and politicians to internalize and listen to us, that you cannot legislate your way out of what you see as a problem with law enforcement. And so I think that's the challenge. And I think that's what part of what your summit is doing, is putting all those various insights and mindsets together to get the conversation started. I have been in law enforcement as a DA or a cop or an investigator for almost 40 years. And never have I seen a summit opportunity of this magnitude. So I think this is what people are really craving for. This is a step in that direction.
Well, yeah, awesome. 3 quick things on that. 1, I'm going to try not to forget the third one by the time I get through this. 3 things. 1, probably a dozen instructors on this referenced Sun Tzu in some way, shape, or form during the summit. So we should have what we should do is actually have a little game for people. So if you send me all of the videos that they're referenced in, maybe we'll do a giveaway or something. 2,
required reading list.
It should be on the required reading list. Mm-hmm. Actually, I have a book. I have a bunch of books that have been being sent, but I have one that's actually was instrumental for me for a leadership perspective. And it was actually penned. It was a collection of chapters from the Canadian Military College up here. Fantastic. I'll if I can go find it before we're done here, I'll grab it for everybody. The other thing, what you had said about the warrior mindset, I actually queued up a video. I'm going to give everybody a sneak peek The Colonel, so Dave Grossman, I have like a quick 30-second clip of him talking about exactly what you had just said. And what was the other one?
You said you were going to forget the third
I knew
one.
I was going to lose it. God damn it. Oh, yeah. Okay. This question came up. It was for Jim. Is Copline discussed in any police academies?
Police academies, generally departments stick to their own material at the police academy level. However, we do have some retired volunteers on Copline that still instruct across the nation, and they are able to come into the classrooms and talk about the outside resources. So departments usually stay specific to what they have to offer to their employees. But obviously some key stakeholders in law enforcement right now, the ones that are thinking outside the box, they're looking and saying, you know what, we need some support other than what we have in-house. And some of those smaller rural areas that have no support whatsoever, they actually reach out and start discussing Copline and other resources. So we are trying to get ourselves out there nationwide and in Canada. We're reaching out on different publications, different stakeholder conferences. Obviously, they're all shut down because of COVID-19 right now. But the goal is so that a police academy can tell their recruits from day one that there's other places to go when you're dealing with that stigma issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, Scott, what's going on, brother? You gonna sing us a ballad or what's going on?
Well, I'm just getting warmed up. I was trying to harmonize with what you guys are saying, but the ear's not coming through properly, and I don't know where those free drinks you were talking about were supposed to show up here in California. They didn't. I mean, I've got this. I'm suffering through some Napa Cabernet. I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. Hi guys, how's it going?
How you doing, Scott?
I'm doing great. Good to see you guys.
Yeah.
Good to see you all.
That's awesome. Oh yeah, I teased I pulled about 4 different clips from the summit here. None of you guys. Actually, I pulled a clip of what Scott's team. So Scott's team, he has a team of 3 instructors that run their interview and interrogation course. Dom, Max, and Josh. They're fantastic. So I actually pulled a clip because that's the only session that we actually have 3 instructors teaching on one session. So it's really neat. But I'm going to show you this guy. I'm going to show you this one real quick of Dave Grossman first. We'll do that one first.
Yeah.
Today, for the first time in centuries, there are people who wake up in the morning, most of them don armor. They hang a weapon on the hip, and they hang that shield, that star, that chunk of armor on the left side. And on that shield, on that badge, is under whose authority they go forth, administer justice, and do good deeds to the land. If that is not a knight, if that is not a paladin, you tell me what is.
So now here's the thing. I know a lot of you guys have seen Dave speak live at some point in the last 2 centuries. And there's probably a lot of people here, officers that have seen him as well. The session is exactly what you think it is. It's exactly the same as when he does his speeches, whether he's teaching at West Point, he's teaching at an academy. He literally has 2 big whiteboards, like paper boards and giant markers, and he's going through, and he'll actually 3 hours of just like him being super intense with everything. So it's awesome. It's a fantastic session. But yeah, so you guys can look forward to, but he had talked about that, the paladin, and obviously he's big on the sheepdog mindset, right? So it was kind of just, it was funny that you brought that up, Pat, because that was just kind of something that I'd already picked out and saved for this. So
and Dave's, he's multifaceted, and if you haven't gotten his book, and it's really kind of a daily reading opportunity on spiritual warfare. I mean, he's not just about that military mindset and law enforcement mindset, the bulletproof mind, and all that, which we've all gone through. He ties it all together. It's a holistic approach. And I tell cops, I said, hey, if you're loving, kind, and patient at home, and you're a total asshole at work, you got a problem. And you need professional help, because eventually you're going to have to choose one over the other. You can't be split personalities. And so Dave has been tying in the mind, body, and spirit aspect of your life, personally and professionally. And it's just an honor to be able to be a part of a training program that he's a part of, because the dude is like he's awesome. He's very, very, very good.
It seems like he means it. It almost seems like he believes what he's saying, right? Like he's so intense. I think, we all grew up sort of reading his books and watching him. And it's interesting to see him be a part of that. And I think, Adam, I'm sure these guys already congratulate you, but I just, publicly want to say what a great job you've done and putting all these people together. And I don't know how you did it. You did it. And so, I mean, it's just incredible, right? I mean, and the guys that are, the guys and girls that are taking part in this are going to be students and get all this for free. This is incredible. I've never seen anything like this. And you thought of this, I believe, all before the pandemic.
Yeah,
Is that right?
That's the craziest shit. People don't realize that, because Scott. So for those who don't know, Scott and I have been kind of working and talking together for, probably since the middle of last year.
Yeah.
And when this idea, I kind of had this idea in January, and I brought it up to him and I said, "Hey, here's an idea. What do you think?" He's like, "That's ambitious."
Can I say honestly what I thought?
Yeah.
Adam, that sounds great. You're just cute as a button. I want to pinch your cheek. You're very misguided. Your heart's in the right place. This will never work. But yeah, you go do this. You're going to get all these instructors together. You said you're not going to charge anything? Absolutely. That sounds like a great business plan. All right, got to go. No, I thought it was great. I just, it just seems so, I guess, far-fetched and grandiose. And that's a really, honestly, no joking, that is a testament to you for doing that. That's incredible. And everyone believes in your mission, because I don't know if you've heard, but a lot of cops are kind of closed off. They don't like to share. They're a little mistrusting. We're going to put this stuff on the internet, and then you said you're going to give it away for free. So I think it's just, congratulations really to you. This is going to be awesome.
I fielded so many questions. Well, I didn't think it was real. I mean, there's just no way all those people are going to be there and it's going to be free. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, I'm presenting as part of it. It's legit. It's real. No, it can't be. I'm like, I'm telling you, it is.
I'm doing it.
In a time when I think a number of people in law enforcement right now, and in law enforcement specifically, feel like a lot of the tools are being pulled out of their toolbox and feel like some degree of support is being stripped from them. What an empowering thing to be able to come together as a community and say, you know what, not just one of us, but all of us are coming together and we're wrapping our arms around you right now. We want to provide some support, especially at this time. Couldn't come at a better time, man. I'm so blessed to be a part of this, Adam. Thank you.
Hey, real quick, everybody that is watching through whatever platform that's out there, I'm going to ask you, I'm going to challenge you, contact 3 officers that you know tonight, 3, and tell them about it. So yeah, it's legit. It's happening. Just reach out and find 3 of them and ask them, once they get signed up, to do the same thing. It is too good of an opportunity to miss. But like I said, man, everybody that I talked to, they didn't believe it. I mean, I had somebody even made the joke, goes, yeah, I got that same email about the prince in Nigeria who needed to get his money over here. Like, this is legit.
And I actually do have an offer right now. See, I was actually contacted by a prince in Nigeria, and he does need money sort of transferred to him. So if everyone could just put their credit card numbers in the screen right now, that would be
So here's the thing.
I would actually go ahead. Adam, I was going to say I would argue with Lon and tell him he's incorrect. If you were on the promotion list, right now, don't tell anyone about this. Don't tell us, because you're going to get like 3 days of training. Like, this is thousands of dollars worth of training for free. Don't tell anyone about it. Just get this training, because your skill set and it doesn't really matter what topic it's about. Your skill set is about to skyrocket, and you're probably getting more training than the average sergeant, FTO, SWAT guy is getting. So, you are getting like an incredible deal right now. So don't tell us all.
Roy. So this guy reached out to me earlier today. His name's Roy. He's in Nairobi, Kenya. He's an officer out there. So Roy, if you're still on the call here on the show, we're going to send you out to find that prince for us. And, we'll go there. So we have Amy. Amy's joined us. Now, here's the thing. I've never had more than 6 people on this at once, so I'm pretty sure someone's getting kicked off. Like not kicked off completely, kicked off into like the waiting room. So I'm gonna see what happens when I add Amy. Hopefully, it doesn't kick me off because that'd be silly. Oh no, I can do 7. Oh, this is even better. There you go.
Technology.
There you go.
I wonder how many we could fit on. Well, we're gonna find out. Amy, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I feel like it's like that house party app. You know, it's like whoever's in the house. Have you seen that?
No.
It's like a virtual chat. Yeah,
We're not as hip and happening as you. Amy.
it's all for crime prevention research. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, to follow up on what Lon said, just as a follow up on that, if anybody, when people jump on and get this training, there's nowhere else in the world can you get, and I'm estimating, and I'm probably a little bit shy, there's over 1,000 years of law enforcement experience that's going to be coming to you for free. Well, we got close to 50 instructors.
Yeah.
And not, most of us have more than 20 years.
That's making up for half of it.
Yeah, I'm making up for half of it. Yeah, and when you get to be my age, you can grow one of these. But on a very serious note, to follow up with Lon, is where else in the world in your lifetime are you going to be able to get over 1,000 years of experience shared with you for free that's going to make a difference? And I guarantee you, will make a difference in your personal and professional life. And it may never happen again. And here's the challenge I would throw out.
Wow.
I'm gonna make it tougher than Lon's. Could you imagine if just half of that experience was invited to be on the national platform conversation in police reform? If just half of what you have put together, Adam, were able to sit down with, from President Trump to whomever, sit down and be a part of that national conversation, how successful would that reform process be? It would be off the hook incredible because of what we can bring to the table. And so the challenge to the future leaders and the up and comers in agencies that are going to be a part of this week, don't just do it for yourself. I mean, think about what kind of difference you can make in your local community. And everybody goes, what can one person do? Well, you know what? Ask Martin Luther King that. Ask Gandhi that. Ask St. Teresa of Calcutta that. One person can radically change the whole world. And you've been able to put not just one person, but nearly 50 of us together that all share that same enthusiasm and forward-looking mindset of we literally are that thin blue line. We are the difference between chaos and anarchy and your way of life on 4 different continents. So take it seriously and come with the mindset, I'm here to grow and learn and be a better leader, be a better cop, be a better supervisor. And quite frankly, this is the best evaluation I ever got in doing this training in security forces. And it was to reduce Article 15s in court martials. His 4-star general ordered this training up. And the best evaluation I got was from an NCO, non-commissioned senior NCO, who wrote, you just gave me the tools to save my marriage. And I was brought in to change their mindset about behavior and attitudes that were driving Article 15s in court martials. And this senior NCO walked away with the mindset of, man, I can save my marriage because of what I'm going through. So what every one of us is sharing in this upcoming week, it's not just about policing. It's so much bigger than that.
I 100% agree. Real quickly, there's a bunch of questions here, and so I want to answer those. And then this Michael, it looks like Michael out of the OPOA sent it out to the Ontario Peace Officers Association. which is interesting because I mean Ben knows this. So CTP actually is sponsoring a few agencies in Oregon to give their whole agency this training for free lifetime.
Wow.
So that's awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. Also,
Hard to
Karen. So Karen Collins out of Vancouver. Thank you for joining us. Karen's an expert in mass fatality management. That session, I told you what we recorded this actually a while ago. She was one of the first sessions that I recorded. Man, there's a lot of, if you guys want if you want more information packed into a 2-hour block than you've ever seen before, that's the one. You can get a full certification on mass fatality management in 2.5 hours. So that's exciting. Karen, thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here, guys. Thank you. And I apologize. The rest of my house is overrun with family barbecue, children, and dogs. So I'm hiding on my front porch. So nice to finally see you all.
Absolutely. So the question came up about, so this is one that I covered in the live thing I did last week. The question came up about certification, certificates, any type of continuing education credit. And this is a discussion that I had with everybody on the panel here, is there a way that we can actually get certificate or get this certified through, whether it's through IADLES to get post certifications, independent state bodies or municipal organizations? It's really difficult. Okay. Like what it's for what we're doing here, it's almost impossible because the sessions we're not testing you with the sessions, right? We're not giving you, there's not a quiz at the end that shows that you have some competency that's been built up through the training. So it's difficult to issue certificates. But it has been asked by many, many people to just get a certificate of attendance from the conference and say, hey, I attended the conference as a type of continuing education. So that's something that we're probably going to be able to do. So if you're registered for this and you've attended at least one of the sessions, we're going to give you some type of downloadable certificate, a certificate of attendance that you attended. Don't misconstrue that for like a continuing education credit. That's going to have to be something we're working with agencies right now to say, hey, can we take one or two of these courses, submit them to somebody so that we can get credit for them. We're going through that process, but it's going to kind of be a one-off based off of where you are. I know up here in Canada, and I know Amy and Karen can speak to this, we don't really have anybody that would say that, yeah, this is good to go. It's off of each individual agency. So it really has to be, it's going to kind of be a one-off for you, for your agency. So if you are interested, please contact me and we can kind of work through the process. But it isn't something that's going to happen very quickly. I hope that answers your question.
Hey, Adam, can I say something about that real quick?
Yeah, man.
So I'm in California. In California, if nothing is full of laws and regulations and whatnot, and something we deal with here a lot is post certification. So like California has a big state body that issues, certifications for law enforcement training. And when COVID-19 hit, all of us sort of training providers tried to okay, how can we, provide some online training? And we met with Post, and the number one thing they wanted, if we were going to convert to any kind of online class to try to give certifications out, is proof of learning, right? And so if this summit were to be done, meeting that standard with a proof of learning, what that would involve, it probably, if it was California Post, standards, it would have to be live. So all the instructors would have to come on live, right? And they would have to conduct assessments and tests to continually check, right, if the people were A, paying attention, B, they, passed whatever, assessments we were, because they're trying to aim for that proof of learning thing. So I would just say, also to the students, if you're considering oh gosh, there's no, certificate getting out, I would just give you sort of a behind the scenes look at the incredible amount of work that would take to meet this lofty academic standard of proof of learning. Mm-hmm. So I think all the instructors would agree, we're sort of providing the best we can. And we filmed a lot of this stuff in our off time. We filmed it when it was kind of convenient for us, or we took other, content and repurposed it for this ceremony, this summit, and tried to give you the best, of everything we had. But we'd love to all, give you certificates and whatnot, but that would be a very, very tall order to logistically do that. So just something to consider as you're kind of watching this.
Hey, and Scott, from personally trying to pivot from brick and mortar training to online, I can personally tell you every online class, just to get it developed, to launch it and have those built-in accreditation processes is anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 per course. And so financially, to do what people would want for something of this magnitude would be cost prohibitive, let alone all the hoops you have to jump through in each individual state. But I think, and what a lot of us can do though, Adam, is if people contact us directly afterwards and they want some, like I do a certificate for my leader, warrior servant leadership mindset. And it's about a 10-week process, and it has all the built-in, it's not online. I do it with you through, it can be done if you want to pick a specific topic as opposed to a whole 75 hours of training. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage people to reach out to all the instructors that have material that you really are gaining something from, and see if there is some way of getting certified, so to speak, in your particular discipline that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
I was just going to mention, agree with Pat there and Scott. If you reach out, because I know some of the sessions that we're doing is kind of give you a taste of what maybe the course would be about. So through the International Society of Crime Prevention Practitioners, we have a crime prevention specialist designation, which is a 3-day course, and you get the designation. There's a whole test exam that you take afterwards. So yeah, if anyone's interested, it kind of gives you an overall taste of what might be included, but it doesn't nearly touch close to the content that's offered in that 3-day period. So if anyone's interested, yeah, just email. I think a lot of people are giving out promo codes to follow up with certificates afterwards if someone's interested in a particular topic like you were mentioning. Yeah
and that's a big thing too, and so just so everyone kind of understands the concept of how this whole summit's put together, was we're running it as a nonprofit. Okay, so and this is, I think this is what really threw people off. They're like, what do you mean you're not taking any money? And it's like, no, we are, but all the money that comes in is going to charities like Copline. And so what we're doing is it's this. All of the sponsors that jumped on board, their funds went to marketing. So all of I don't know how many Facebook, we sent out over 2.5 million ads around the world on this summit. So, which explains why we have people from 5 different continents on board, right? And so we have that went to getting people aware of what we're doing, and to cover the operational costs of hosting the summit in general, all the technical stuff, the softwares and everything that comes in outside of that profit all goes to charity, 100% of it, which is the coolest thing that we're doing here. So that all access pass, that $64, which is going to be actually at the end of today, because that's the early bird price. We had it bumped up to like 100. I think it was $100. All of that money goes to charity. And with the all access pass, I might as well get into it now so everybody knows what you get. So you get a LA Police Gear. I don't know if I think Mark's going to jump on board here if he gets a chance. Mark Hedman, who's the CEO of LA Police Gear. They're working with us to co-brand shirts. So most of you watching this are familiar with the I Got Your 6 moniker, the IGY6 with the I in with the colon in teal and the 6 in red. And so the shirts are basically just that. It's straight across the chest, the I Got Your 6. And really, because and that's it. There's no flashiness on it. It's really just to draw attention to that mental health initiative, which is what we really want to do here. And then so you're going to get that shirt. You're going to get a tactical patch. We're going to custom make the logo, the ILET Summit logo, the 2x2 tactical patch. And then there's going to be some type of giveaway like knives or flashlights or some type of tactical gear you're going to get on top of that as well. So there's a whole bunch of stuff that you're going to get with that. And then to go back to Pat's point about the value of training, hang on a sec. Chris Butler's here. I just want to see if I can fit. Oh, we can fit 9. Everyone's going to start getting squished, getting into the middle of your so this was a question because I've spoken with a lot of chiefs in the last couple of weeks. And the question is always one of them asked me, they're like, well, and I think actually Lon brought this up to me too when we spoke. He said, what is the total value? Like if you were to take one person and how much would they charge, right? So if I was going to say Lon's doing a 2-hour course, how much would he charge? Maybe it's $100 or something like that for the hour. And we ran with that. You're literally getting over $7,500 worth of training for free. And so, I mean, that's crazy. And then alongside that, like you said, most of you guys are giving some type of promotion, giveaway, discount in training, which is in the thousands and thousands of dollars worth of discounts to agencies or officers that want to take additional training, right? And the coolest thing that we're doing, the coolest thing I think that we're doing is with the giveaway. So for the all access pass, so the 100 people that are on here right now, here's something I want to let you know. At the end of tonight, we're going to stop the early bird prize. And I don't know if you got a hold of that when you were going through the setup. But as my gift to everybody who's jumping on this, we're giving away a all-inclusive trip to train with the instructor of your choice, which means that wherever you are, okay, caveat, if you're in the middle of Africa or something,
you said anyone, Adam. Don't walk it back now. If you're in the middle of Africa, you're getting it and I'm paying it.
If you're outside of North America, I'm flying Scott Savage to you to do training.
I'm in. I don't care anymore.
Yeah. You can jump out of planes with Ben, and Ben will fly you over. You guys will jump in. You'll hey-ho in. Anyways, I digress. We're gonna give away that or the equivalent. Here's the best part. We have instructors on this summit that train internationally, that their companies are international. Tony Blauer, for instance, they run seminars in every continent. So there's opportunities for us to get you to training. I'll cover the cost for you. So we will fly you in. I'll cover your hotel. I'll meet you there. We'll train one-on-one with the instructor for the course. Yeah, it's an opportunity that you're not going to get anywhere else. I promise you that. And the fact that you get to choose who you want. So you can either choose from this beautiful panel of people in front of you, or you can pick somebody else. It's whatever you want to do. So that's ending though at the end of tonight. So if you're not on board with the all access pass by the end of tonight, you can't win that. And right now, I think there's 500 or so people already signed up. So you have like a 1 in 500 shot of a $5,000 prize. And then not to mention, you're going to get over $60 worth of gear already. And then all of the training and all of that. And here's the best part. All of it goes to charity. Like, I don't know what else I could do, team. I really don't. I really, really tried to make that as enticing as possible for somebody to want to buy into this, to buy. And the other thing I think too, and all of the instructors here on the panel will understand this, is that even though it's a small amount of money, it symbolizes more than the monetary value. It symbolizes them buying into something, that they're actually committed to training in some way, shape, or form, which is the one thing that we really look for from students. Is we want them to have some skin in the game so that they're actually going to take the knowledge away from them, away from the course. So anybody have any points on that?
I think you did a great job. I think it's amazing that you're doing that. And yeah, the fact that you're willing to, put your own, money and fly folks around the world. This is like beyond unique. It almost sounds like in a second, we're going to ask you to convert to our sort of religion. You just need one thing from you students, right? Yeah. No, but come on, this is an amazing thing. And it just kind of keeps getting better. So whoever's out there and students that are participating in that, I just really hope, I think if you're brand new officer or something like that, you're watching this like, yeah, this is great. This probably happens all the time. It's like, no, trust us, from the old guys, this never happens. And, just take advantage right now. So,
yeah. Stephanie, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Sorry I was late. I did a podcast, so I scooched off and.
Oh, look at you, podcast. It's okay. Jim's holding down the fort.
No doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody, Stephanie Samuels. So she founded Copline. Stephanie, thank you so much for joining us. And the video you sent me is awesome. So everyone's going to get to see that whole video first thing tomorrow.
Good. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you want to share with everybody as you have them here about kind of what you guys are doing right now with Copline, or anything that's kind of top of mind for you?
Copline's still kind of sticking to its mission, which is trying to get the word out, trying to make sure that officers know that there's a safe place that they can call, no matter what their stressor is going on. It's really important to us not to advertise as a suicide or a crisis line, because we deal with all the stressors, not just suicide and crisis. So that's it. That's kind of what we've been doing. We're certainly seeing, unfortunately, the uptick in calls with what's going on in the country and the world. Mm-hmm. So that's been heart-wrenching, actually, to see, to hear some of that stuff. But no, really excited to be here. Really excited to deal with mental health issues, trying to reduce the stigma, doing what we can do, all of us, to try and help these officers through a career and a lifetime, honestly.
I want to, I was just thinking, we have 100 people that are live on here, over 100 people. I want to find a way to get them all signed up to the All Access Pass. I don't know what I fucking have around here. Oh, I got something. Hang on a second. Okay, here's the deal. There's only one of these in the world. And when you guys actually, all these guys will know what it is because it was in the background when we did our sessions. But this was on the wall of the office there. It's the full logo. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to raffle. Well, I'm not going to raffle it off. Well, I guess I will. Anybody who signs up for the All Access Pass tonight before the midnight deadline, I will personally sign this and ship it off to you. And there's really only one in the world. So you'll actually get the only one that existed from this first conference, which is happening next year, by the way. I think did I already tell you all that we confirmed that we're doing that? Probably not, because I just decided 30 minutes ago. So we'll raffle this off, and I'll do a promo code too. I have one set up already for the podcast breakdown. It's breakdown 2020. I'll send it to everybody here. If you look in the chat, I'll send you the promo code. It's breakdown 2020. You'll save 25% off of the cost of the All Access Pass. Obviously, we still want some money to go to Copline and to our charities. But we'll get you in on that right now. You'll save 25% off. It'll be under $50 for you. And yeah, we'll raffle this off. And anything else that I can think of in the next hour or so, I'm going to add to that pot. So I'm sure I'll find something around here. I got tons of shit that you guys keep sending.
It's a nice shirt, Adam. It's a nice shirt.
Oh, your shirt? Okay, yeah. And we're also going to ship Scott Savage to you and to deliver it.
I'm in. Let's do it.
He needs a refill.
This is empty. This is actually fake wine for all you guys watching. I wouldn't drinking wine as we're trying to teach. Come on, that's insane. Anyway, I got to get more wine. I'll be right back.
All right. I've seen a lot of people you already paid. That's awesome, guys. Really appreciate that. One thing that we did just roll out on the thing too is we were doing if you guys haven't paid already,
I paid.
We're doing a sponsor and officer program for 50% off. So if you purchase one for yourself, you can buy one for one of your partners for 50% off. So that's on the checkout. You guys will see that. And here's the other thing too. So for everybody who's watching this, if you're part of an agency or organization, or you have some type of you're in a training role or in a leadership role, we're actually we have thanks to CTP and thanks to LA Police Gear and Vertra and blockchain and Thin Blue Online and Mobile Police Training Structures and the podcast. All of us have kind of pooled our resources together to subsidize training for agencies. So here's how it works. If you're a part of an agency and you want to get training for your entire department, we will subsidize the cost and you will only pay to host that officer on the program. It ends up, depending on where you are and the amount of officers in your agency, It could be as low, like, so for example, somebody from the NYPD is listening and you want your entire department, it'd probably cost you $3 an officer. If you have a smaller agency, 20 or so, you're probably looking around $7 or $8 per person. But at the end of the day, like we said, it's $7,500 worth of training, not to mention cost for hours of training and setting aside the officer. All this, there's so many benefits to it. So if you're interested in that, email me directly and I'll get you all the information for those programs. What else? Oh my goodness. I got lightheaded. I feel like I talk too much. Oh my God. You guys keep sending me stuff in private chat. Somebody take over for a second and talk so I can read through all these questions.
Well, one of the comments from Michael Mann, who's pushing that out to his association up in Oakland, that's what we want to see, because this is an awesome opportunity for not only the training, the instruction that you're going to get from the instructors and the high level of talent that you have, but those proactive leaders that are in place right now that are actually pushing out resources to their troops. That's how we're going to survive in this day and age of law enforcement being trained by the top experts. So to Michael Mann, way to go. I mean, and others that are listening right now.
Yeah, it's awesome. We've had some support from some major organizations on this. Obviously, just recently too, like ILET got on board. They sent this out to all of their members. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong. International Association of Law Enforcement Firearms Instructors. There's so many acronyms. Here's the NASAR, North American Search and Rescue Association, the California Peace Officers Association, the California Field Training Officers Association. What else? There's so many organizations that have jumped on board and just sent this out to everybody. The International Police Association. So for all of you overseas, I'm sure this is probably where you got some of your information from. The International Police Association has over 350,000 members worldwide, and they sent this out to their membership. So there's really is this international exposure, and I really think the organizations is the best way to get this out there. So ILETA, right? ILETA is another one, and a lot of us here are either members or we're very familiar with what ILETA is. A lot of you on the call are familiar with what ILETA is. I think I'm gonna mute Chris. I think that's his mic. Nope, not Chris. I don't know whose it is. Somebody is I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
The
International Association, Chiefs of Police.
Too many associations. Amy, you're involved with you're on the board of 16 different organizations.
I don't know, that's inflated a little bit, but there's a few. So I'm very active with. I think it's important to play a leadership role within your own organization, but also within your community. Whether that's at the local level, provincial or state, and then, national. And then I find that once you start networking and connecting with people on a global scale, a lot of people are having the same conversations. So, leveraging what other people are doing and kind of keeping your ear to the ground that way, I'm finding that it's very useful. So I work with the Canadian Society of Evidence-Based Policing on promoting evidence-based policing. Changing those evolutions into our field, kind of like the way the medical field over time has started using more evidence-based practices. It's hard to think at one point that they didn't. So that's kind of where policing's headed, right? We have to start basing our decisions and, not on the way we've always done things, but more so on, what works based on what the research says. So just kind of promoting that through Canada, through just social media and just my interactions. And then I'm also part of the International Society.
I told you there's a lot. Nobody believe me.
First Responder Mindfulness Network, which is Canada, the States, and Australia, with trying to bring mindfulness modalities into, policing as a way to deal with stress and trauma based on the research. There's a few other ones too, but I won't list them all.
Not joking. Canadian Tactical Officers Association, Ontario Tactical Advisory Body, Canadian Association of Police Educators, There's a whole bunch. And so here's the cool thing about this. All of us are in some way, shape, or form involved with these organizations. And one thing that I'm really looking to do with this, and so this is the first time anybody in the public's hearing about this, but I've had this conversation with a lot of you here, is bringing all these organizations together, being a central hub, so that if you're involved in tactical training and all you know about is NTOA, well, let me tell you something. There's a lot more than just NTOA around for tactical training organizations. If you're involved with all these different things, firearms training, evidence-based policing, instructorship. I can't tell you how many organizations there are for police instructors and a lot of them don't even know the other ones exist. And that's the craziest thing to me. So really bringing all of these organizations together so that we can start sharing that information, that open source sharing of information, I think is going to be crucial in the next couple of years for sure. Go ahead.
I love that. I think so much. There's so much opportunity in creating a common language and creating familiarity between different agencies. And I think that this ILET Summit is a huge opportunity to be able to just disseminate common information across the world, right? Which is just awesome.
Absolutely. Mr. Butler, what's going on, buddy? I haven't said hi yet. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm sorry I'm late. I was actually stuck under my lawnmower.
Fair enough.
Well, Chris has been drinking again, guys.
No. I decided it was a good time to jack up my lawnmower and take all the junk out from under it and sharpen the blades. And then I was like, wait a minute, I know I'm supposed to be somewhere right now.
That's
so
funny.
I apologize.
Did you cut the grass?
Everybody,
yeah, that's a crazy thing. I haven't even cut the grass yet.
Everybody who follows Chris on LinkedIn will know that he's putting out some crazy, powerful training all the time, almost every day. So everybody plug yours, because I got to tell Chris to knock it the fuck off before the summit rolls out, because he's giving away all the stuff from his session.
Just teasers, man. They were just teasers.
Yeah. So there's a lot more of that. What did we do? We tried to compress a week's worth of stuff into about 3.5 hours.
Oh, was it 3.5? I thought it was 2.5. I'm sorry.
No, I think we got to 3, and you said, because we settled on 3, and you said, okay, we'll stop there. And then we got to 3, and you said, how long have we been going? 2 hours? And I said, no, 3. You're like, oh shit, I got another hour and a half to go. So, yeah, well, we'll record some extra bonus content for people maybe, but yeah. So if you guys aren't already following Chris on LinkedIn, make sure to get on that. That goes for like the panel here, but also for everybody on the actual live stream here.
I have a serious question for Chris. It's not lawnmower related in any way. Chris, because now I just feel like I want to ask you like serious questions. What would you advocate we spend more time doing from like law enforcement trainer standpoint? A, teaching how to teach, like sort of all the ways to teach and how to get messages across, or B, spending it in the human factors world and the science, kind of like Amy was talking about, evidence-based stuff, science-based stuff. Because I noticed that you are equally competent in both worlds and speak very eloquently in kind of both worlds with the free stuff you're putting out on LinkedIn and whatnot, which I'm consuming. Where is your passion? Where do you see like that we need to be spending our time?
Yes. I agree.
Yes. I knew you were going to say that, but you have to pick one. Well, lawnmower cannot fall on you.
You can't get them.
You can only pick one.
You can't get them.
I can't pick one because you can't pull apart, which is inextricably linked. And the issues, there's 2 issues. One is that trainers are under an illusion that what they're actually teaching officers are skills that officers can actually replicate under rapidly unfolding very high stress events. And the evidence is that just isn't the case. There's a massive disconnect. And so not only is what we think we're teaching officers what we're not teaching them, but they can't replicate those skills. And the second issue with human factors is that because if we fail to understand the human factors, issues, then the skills that we're teaching police officers are ingraining exactly the opposite skills that they need for survival. And just a classic example of that is every time an officer stands flat-footed and draws their gun from their holster, what they're doing, of course, is myelinating a whole motor program that causes them to stand flat-footed when they're being shot at and try to draw their gun, which is exactly the opposite response that is conducive to survival. So sorry, Scott, I can't pick one. Both of those are inextricabably linked.
Damn you,
But
Chris.
nice setup, though. Thanks for that.
I dare you to ask him about LVNR.
Oh, don't
Don't open that can.
do not get me started.
I'm ready. Let's go. I got Chris's back.
Yeah. That was it's one of those things, right? It's and that's I think that was the hardest part about this summit, to be honest with you. Just so for everyone who's listening to this too, so you understand, a lot of the instructors here are active instructors. They work for companies. They're active experts, use of force or court-recognized experts in their state or in their country. And so opening up the floodgates, they can't exactly share their opinion, their personal opinions on a lot of the things that are currently happening in law enforcement because they haven't actually played out yet. And so if you're expecting to jump on the summit and have a technical breakdown of the George Floyd incident, it's not going to happen. We can't do that. And out of respect for that investigations that are still open, we have to let those play out before we can go back and Monday morning quarterback it. So, anyway, I just wanted to preface that because that was something that came up in a lot of our conversations was where's the line? Where do we draw the line in the sand in the amount of information we're giving out about current events?
So I'm looking at this esteemed panel, but can we at least all agree on this fact that a vascular restraint had absolutely nothing to do with the George Floyd incident?
Yes.
Can we at least agree on that?
Yes, I think we can do that. Yeah.
Well, I think, you bring up a great point. And I get to see a little bit, or I've gotten to know sort of virtually, right? Lon and Chris's work, and I get to kind of see them from afar. And I'm connected with Amy, and I'm sort of starting to follow her stuff. And she's talking about evidence-based and science, which is just totally, I'm loving what she's saying there. And I guess maybe for the panel, one interesting question I'm thinking about is why is it that it seems unique, right? That it seems unique that Lon and Chris are talking about human factors and realistic training and how learning occurs. It seems unique that Amy is talking about evidence-based stuff. And I haven't gotten to know the rest of the panel, but they seem like super intelligent, well-spoken, eloquent people. Why is that unique in law enforcement and kind of different?
Chris, it's a tough question. I had an interesting conversation with the guys from Complete Threat Preparedness, Ryan Jensen and Jason Civitano, who are doing a little thing on their tactical athlete program. And one of the things that we talked about was why is, we've been in law enforcement, we've been training the same way in our academies for many, many, many years. We understand elite athletes. We understand how they train. There's millions and billions of dollars that have gone into the understanding how the human body reaches max performance, both through academic learning and through physiological learning. Why haven't we adopted that when our job could literally result in somebody not going home at the end of the day? That's the question. And I think it's come up almost in every conversation with every one of you on this panel that we've had. That is, why is that? Why is it now? Why do we have to wait for one giant incident, an international incident, to blow up before we go, maybe we should start thinking about this? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me.
Just on that point too, it's about not causing harm. So whether it's to your own people internally with your organization and how you deploy people or how you train them or what programs or services you provide for your own people, but also to the community. So why we're not shifting. Maybe it's taken us up into this point to maybe start reflecting and thinking about how can we be doing things better. But evidence-based policing has been around, at least, criminology and all that, since, 1988. But it's slowly, people are starting to understand, like, that's something that's going to build a foundation on our programs or how we do things, why we need it, especially when you have, it's always seen as a cost resource. They're talking about defunding police and all these other things. So when you have a program or you're doing something based on research, it's like, well, this is why we're doing what we're doing. Here's the evidence. It's showing this. Now it gives a foundation on why we're doing what we're doing, and it gives police legitimacy, procedural justice and fairness, etc. Right? So our practices have to start looking into that direction to continue, just improving just what we're doing with our own people, but also with the community.
That's unfortunately, it's kind of like the old joke though, right? The two things that cops hate are the change and the way things are. I mean, the concept of how to train athletes and Adam, you and I talked about this before this whole cop thing. That's my background. My background comes from an exercise and sports science background. I was a strength coach and a competitive athlete. And, when I got into cop world, I'm thinking, I'm going to get into the academy and all the stuff that I've been studying between, how we're supposed to train physically and the sports psychology component of these high pressure events that have to happen in tense, uncertain, and rapidly evolving situations. All of that we, academia knows. I'm sure that the academy is going to take that into account. I'm really looking forward to it. And I got the academy and I'm like, we quit training athletes this way, like in the 1970s, early 70s. And I'm like, okay, get out of the academy. And I'm sure AOT, my advanced officer training, that's where I'm going to see, what we know on how to train people to do these, these psychophysiological skills and that component. And I get into AOT and it's the same thing, right? I mean, it's like, this is still block training, no variation, no cognitive demand changes, none of that. It wasn't until I got into the SWAT world where we started to see a little bit of it. And I think that had a lot to do with, you see, and some of the projects I'm working on now, you see a lot more of that with the special operations community. And, they're looking at the science and they literally have, some of the folks that are some of the brightest and best performance coaches in the world working with these folks. And you saw it creep into the SWAT community that way. But still, you're not seeing it in mainstream. We're talking about it. ILET is pushing for it. There's an ebook that they're going to be releasing specifically about science-based training and science-based learning coming out here in a couple months. But it isn't the mainstream, unfortunately. You have very few people that have looked at it that way. It's just been that traditional block training over and over. I mean, I think about how many times I sat in a DT room with baton training and somebody holding a focus pad along their thigh and somebody barking out, 1, get back, and you reset. 2, get back. I'm like, this is insane. This is insane. Why are we training this way?
Real quickly, Patrick and Tony, two more people to the party. Patrick's joining us all the way from Victoria, Australia.
Hey, everybody.
It's first thing in the morning there for him. And Tony, I didn't know if you were going to get to join us. I was on your live Facebook like 45 minutes ago.
That's funny.
And now you're flipping back, man. Thank you guys both for taking the time.
Hey, Tony. Good to see you, brother.
What's up?
How you doing?
Everybody? How you doing, Scott? Good to see you again. Wow. Lon, I just caught the tail end of that. You're talking about stuff that's near and dear to my heart. Several years ago at ILET, I did a whole presentation with Coach Bob Lindsay as a guest, talking about that we need to change from block-based training to brain-based training. And for those of you who know a little bit about what we do, when I started scenario training in the 80s, it was without having the fancy, cool words of myelinating neurotransmitters and understanding deep practice, we were doing that through intuition, just reverse engineering scenarios and figuring out, like, I would ask the question. I remember an interview for SWAT magazine in the 90s. I was teaching at Smith & Wesson, and the guy was asking me, you know, like why is training not like this and like this? He was talking about scenario based versus block based, you know, get in line, hit, you know, like you're describing. And I said, well, I said, if you look at pro football or baseball teams or what have you, you guys remember sports? I don't know if anyone remembers sports. They used to, back before March, there were sports.
Back olden days.
Back in the olden days.
There were sports.
Esports, right?
What's
Fortnite.
that? Yeah,
Fortnite,
yeah.
esports.
Bye, Karen. But I would say like the way we use dashboard videos back then, there was no body cam. The way dashboard videos were used were like we would show videos of cops doing the wrong stuff, getting their ass kicked. You know, whether it was the Jeters video or the Coates video or the Lunsford video. I mean, those are the classics. And I'd say, like, why are you showing cops pictures of people making mistakes? This is not how the brain learns. Do you think at the time, I think the Dallas Cowboys were the reigning, you know, gang at the time. And I said, do you think the Cowboys watched videos of like people losing, like right? And it was just this interesting talk. And then the interviewer, this guy Ralph, says to me, he goes like, so explain more. Like, so how do you get this content? I go, it's not what we believe, it's what we see, and what we see has to be based on CCTV. And that became, you know, the term I use now, and a lot of people probably use it, is evidence-based. We would only look at real scenarios. We would reverse engineer all our scenarios based on what we saw. And then we'd ask people, well, try the agency approved move here. And you see like, it doesn't fit, it doesn't work. And that became this Socratic opportunity where I'd say, look, we're going to co-create the scenario. I'm not going to tell you, do this move. That's ridiculous. And that, anyways, that became the philosophical focus of our scenario training.
I think the two worst words in our training and in our entire profession, minimum standard. Because ultimately, let's be honest, I only have to train to the minimum standard. The agency does, to be able to do what? Check the box, prevent liability. I don't have to ensure that you can successfully, you know, engage in all this other stuff. I don't have to really prove that it's effective. I just have to hit a minimum standard, and that's it. Not optimal, right? Not, hey, look, we're going to assume that under pressure and under actual, you know, conflict, that the skill set that you have is going to diminish in effectiveness dramatically. You will be well below this minimum standard at that point of, you know, at the tip of the spear. Didn't mean to steal your.
No. Continue talking about the spear. Go on, Lauren.
It's free promotion for him.
Lon is going to write some greeting cards for me too. Like, thank you. Hey, you'd like? I'll send you, or Adam. We can post. I wrote an article like 15, 20 years ago called. It's actually up on Police One's repository of articles called "Lowering the Bar." And it's all about that same thing where
that's,
you know,
so interesting that you're bringing that up too, because so last year I went to Cincinnati, Ohio, to the American Society of Evidence-Based Policing, and Dr. David Klinger was speaking about high reliability organizations. So organizations like aircraft control carriers and nuclear power plants, and you know what I mean, like people who have to deal with there could be catastrophic situations, right? Especially if you're dealing with the public, or you could have like loss of life. So they're talking about the mindset, when we're talking about like mindfulness and bringing that into the policing world on situational awareness, and just like how you review, not becoming complacent in what you're doing, because that will breed mistakes and those types of things. So getting the mindset right, like each officer as an organization, so that you can limit any type of mistakes and those types of things. So it was just an interesting to hear that parallel on changing that mindset to that, right?
I think we're afraid to look in though.
You guys are all instructors. You're all, teachers. Is there anything to the fact that a lot of times if you're just sort of Joe average cop and you are, picked or voluntold or whatever, or you become an instructor, that just today you're like, today you're an operator, tomorrow you're an instructor. Is that not disrespectful sort of to the teaching art, right? If somebody's a great operator and they're great at what they do, or, sort of okay at what they do, and then tomorrow you're going to be an instructor, is really the training and the teaching and the training we're giving to that teacher, is that adequate? Because a lot of guys are just, they're becoming instructors and they're kind of continuing on with, okay, I'm an instructor. Let me go design my PowerPoint. Let me go design my 500.
Worse, Scott, worse than that is a lot of times they're just given a PowerPoint. Someone said, oh, you were in a gunfight, go teach shooting.
Yeah.
Well, I think too, I'm so encouraged to see, Tony, you know what a big fan I am of yours. I'm so encouraged to see guys like Tony, like Chris, and focusing on that are here that can speak so well to the incorporation of both the external and internal tactical. And especially, and equally, I'm so encouraged to see folks like Stephanie that can speak to the mental health component, because when I look at the stats as we get into officer training, one of the things that we're super passionate about, so we do counterterrorism and emergency management consulting for a living. We train in that and we operate in that at the highest levels. In my personal life, I pastor like men's ministry at my church, and I hang out with a lot of officers and a lot of guys that I just am attracted to and who I'm sort of are drawn to me. And we sit around and we drink whiskey. This is apple juice, but sometimes we drink whiskey, and we talk about we talk about the complete picture of what an officer's life ends up being. And there's so much emphasis on the external skills, especially in block training type stuff, that I think is valuable. But I love it whenever I see folks that are incorporating the holistic picture of what that actually means. So we had 228 folks die, not to get too much on a soapbox, we had 228 folks die in the United States last year down here by suicide. That happen to be in law enforcement professionals, right? And so as we look at the external and internal tactical skills, I'm looking at that number dwarfs the folks that died in violent encounters and in the line of duty. And so I love it whenever I see the incorporation. Now I'm taking us in a different direction, I realize, but just on my own soapbox, I love it whenever I hear people talk about incorporating different aspects into training and incorporating expanding our idea of what training is versus just simple block training and here's how I do this particular move. Look, I'm a gunfighter by profession, but my heart now is to address this in such a more holistic way. And so I'm so encouraged to see that being addressed in this summit and to see the group of experts that you brought in, Adam. And I think the collaboration of everyone that you brought together here speaking into this could really create a holistic picture as it comes to future police training. And that's awesome.
Can I just jump in and say a bit on that? Look, I'm in the specialist area working with sex offending. I think there's a lot of connections here. And one of the things that was problematic coming in to teach detectives to specialize in this area is you spend a lot of time detraining them before you retrain them. So not only were we taking them out of that kind of slightly robotic way of sticking to task, but we had to teach them some fairly like how to listen and how to basic communication skills. And at the same time, going on with what Amy and others have been saying, we needed to look after their health and well-being and their mental health in a totally different way, because they were up against child exploitation imagery and sitting day in, day out with stories of victimization of child sexual abuse and so on. So it's been really interesting. I've kind of nodded so much at everything people have said, that block training that we were forced to do, and watching the way that the recruits at the academy got trained. But there's a problem down the track for us, which is when they come at this upper level to deal in very nuanced and sophisticated type investigations where the narrative is everything, and being empathic and connecting with your complainant is the core process, and listening is the core function of that. A lot of them were out of their depths because of the way that they've been trained before. And I think one of the best things that's happened in our area of policing is the evidence base that, again, you've talked about, but also bringing in expertise from outside, because that notion of you've been a person doing it and now you're someone teaching it is the most stagnant thing you can possibly do in an educational sphere. And so really things change very, very slowly. And because sex offending and child sexual abuse investigations weren't very popular, by the time they brought people in from outside, it probably hadn't changed in 30 years. And it's been a revolution now across. So after all that babble, it's lovely to meet you all. And so my particular area is sex offending, but I'm still resonating with a lot of the things that you're saying because the training problems are the same.
I think, real quick, I think that was something that I wanted to touch on too, was for anybody listening to this, you're going to realize real fast that in going through even though all of these sections are touch on different topics, right? We have everything from defensive tactics to mental health to sex offenders to sex trafficking to mass fatality management to evidence-based policing and like CEPTED and all the different things that we have, search and rescue. The method of teaching is what I really want people to pay attention to. And that's what it's funny. I've told a few of you this, and I told Chris this when we did his session. As an instructor, I took so much away from Chris's session, and it wasn't because he was giving me new information. It was because of his methodology of teaching, the way that you can contextualize information for your students. I think that is the most powerful thing that an instructor who's going to watch this summit is going to take away, is that you're going to see 40 different topics being taught, but I want you to pay attention to the way they're being taught and read between the lines on this and see exactly how the best teachers in the world actually share their information. And it's because they do it for a reason. If you wonder why the best instructors are the best instructors, look at their methodology for teaching, because you're going to find a lot of similarities.
I'd like to say, first of all, Jamie Sterling from Canada. I'm one of the friendly folks in the group here, Search and Rescue. And I jumped in late, and I want to say your conversations that are here, I kid with the other guys in my unit from the tactical side. Passion is something we all share, and our quest to be perfectionists and to take it to that next level and keep preparing the kids or the students for what they'll face out there in the real world. And this is all very refreshing, and I think this is awesome because this stuff will be a multiplier out there. And quite often, leadership, well, we know leadership sometimes, it's not born, it's a learned, and you have to absorb it and bring it all in. And I think this summit is going to be incredible, the ripple effect for it. So all you folks there need to be commended for that. And I think for bringing us, I mean, even the group on the screen here, our backgrounds are so diverse, but everything we share is so similar. So I think this is going to be a great week coming up here. And I'd love to be part of something on, well, maybe not Sunday. Come on, Adam. We can do something maybe Friday afternoon or something like that and say, hey, this was a great week we had. We did something that was global here, and great initiative. So thanks. And I think it was Scott that spoke up earlier. When I first became an instructor, it was an honor to be picked from your unit to be an instructor.
Yeah.
It wasn't something the boss asked me to do, or I'm here because, I got told last Friday. It was something that you had been working and wanted to do. It was your calling. And not too many people know what a calling is, but I'm pretty sure everybody on the screen here does. So good for you guys and girls, Amy. Good kudos to all of you. So it's all cool.
Yeah, it's nice to be with this incredible, group of instructors. And I think, probably if you're watching this right now, you're just like, are these instructors just talking to themselves? Kind of. We all just want to share stories and
pump your own fire.
Iron sharpens iron. And it's, I would just echo what Jamie just said. And it's like, it's such an honor, right? I think that's a testament again to you, Adam, not to just, kiss your butt even more, but I think you put together something pretty incredible that's never been done before, as far as I'm aware. And for the student out there, you're just getting this incredible opportunity. But I've got to run. But I just want to say thank you for having me a part of this, and congratulations to all these instructors. And And just so if you're a student right now and you're watching this, just so you know, I logged in as a student. I created a profile as a student because I'm going to watch all the hours of this stuff and consume all this, because this isn't what would you say, a $7,800 value or something like that. Yeah. I'm going to take all of this stuff and become a better police officer, I think, after all this stuff. So thank you to all the instructors for putting all your time in, and this is just really incredible. So yeah, good night from California, guys.
Right on, brother.
Thanks, Scott.
Good news, Scott.
Yeah, that was what he said is huge, and I don't think going back to the idea of how do you the art and science of teaching, and you can have a checklist, hey, be obsessed, be compassionate, be passionate, be all inclusive, watch your P's and Q's, care, research, you can have whatever checklist you want. I think like Jamie said, like most of us who are now, especially guys, I think almost everybody on here. Jamie, are you still active duty?
No, I'm not. I retired in 2017, but when I went to my admin role, I was still within the unit, and I would say what's active. You're guiding the students or the people for the path and preparing them for operations. Right. And we are doing that as instructors, whether we're retired or not. And that's
where I was going with that is like a lot of people, like you look at like some of the content Chris has been pumping out lately. But like if you retire and you're still obsessed about the stuff that drove you crazy 20 years earlier, that's your calling. You want to make the world safer. And I don't think that too bad Scott's not on for this, but I don't know that that's teachable. I've had, in the private sector, hundreds of people since I've been doing like an affiliation program for martial artists and trainers for decades. And I would say that most of them just drop off after a while. They think I get like emails, I want to do what you do. I want to, how do I get certified? I'm like, I want to travel around the world. I go like, I can describe the inside of hotels. That's all. This is, I'm not going to Disneyland and all these countries. People don't realize what it's like to be on the road. Like most of you all know, but it's an interesting thing how a lot of them drop out because what they see is the Instagram version of what it is to be a trainer. They don't realize that, one short thing to share is I did a course for a military unit, and it was this 5-day intensive, and on Sunday night, I get this email from my point of contact at this unit, and can I swear on this, Adam, or is this PG?
You do whatever the fuck you want, Tony.
Okay, that was a little too much. I'm a little scared right now. But the subject line in the email was "fuck you," and I can see like this is this like government email address. It says "fuck you," and I literally look at it and I get a little adrenaline dump. My heart starts racing. I'm like, fuck, I flew on Saturday. It's Sunday. What the hell happened? I don't open it for about a half an hour till it's like eating at me. And I open it up. Any of you guys know Joe Vega? Okay, so it was from Joe. And he goes, hey, what you taught us last week affected me so much that I've had to rewrite my lesson plan for my combatives class starting tomorrow morning. So I've been up all weekend, all night rewriting that. And I just wanted to say to you, fuck you. Right. And we're still friends to this day. But like that was a guy who was obsessed with making his students safer, because he could have just said, I got the PowerPoint already. Anyways.
Yeah.
So old school instructors up till 2 o'clock in the morning the night before, tweaking you know, 1 or 2 slides and making sure it's
you know, it was funny. You just made me think of that. As I started to grow the company, I had a team of trainers, and we'd always do a Skype call. There was no Zoom back then, a Skype call on Sunday night before the class would start. And I'm like clinical overthinker, you know, and I'm assuming a bunch of you are probably that. Is this right? Is this perfect? Is this right? Let me read it like this. Hopefully I'm not the only one here. Am I the only one here? Okay. Thank you for hanging me out to dry. And I remember doing this Skype call, and I'm talking. I got 3 of my trainers on this course, and 2 of them are new guys, and one of them's been with me a couple of years. And I'm going, guys, I want to change what's happening on Wednesday. I just hallucinated a new drill. I think it'll really change stuff like that. So I need you guys to switch the PowerPoint around and do this. And I see the 2 new guys are there like writing, because the founder's explaining shit to them, right? And the guy in the middle does this. He's sitting there and he goes like this. He goes, and he rolls his eyes and puts his head up. And I lean forward and I go, hey, Torres. And he looks at me. I go, you idiot. We're on Skype. I can see your fucking face, man. Right? like, dude. Right? Like, you could just tell the guy that was going to get fired or quit. It was like, oh, we got extra. And literally, because I challenged him right there, he said, like the course is good enough. I go, it's not fucking good enough. And the course isn't for you. The course is for the students.
For the unit.
The course is for the students, not for you. Anyways, sorry, I got a little heated up there. I got a little excited. I want to jump in.
Never happened. Okay. He was about to steer the camera.
It really boils down to, well, I think a lot of times, what's the motivation for people that step into that instructorship? You know, if you're stepping in it because you like guns, or, you know, you think DT's cool, or you used to fight, I think you're in it for the wrong reasons. If you step into those roles, you're doing it to ultimately save lives and reduce the threat of injury. I mean, if you boil it down to what the baseline mission statement: save lives, reduce the threat of injury. I didn't say eliminate, and I didn't say, you know, completely, you know, make it go away, because we don't. We just, whatever it is, whatever the injury is going to be, theirs, hopefully not yours, we're trying to mitigate it as much as possible. But that's ultimately same thing. And I've spent a lot of time in a high gear suit. And, you know, when I was getting instructors in, okay, I want you to understand what your role is. Can you explain it to me? Yeah, I'm supposed to do X, Y, or Z. I said, no. If the student's doing what they're supposed to be doing, what's your role and your task? Because you're in a padded suit that absorbs impact. What is your role or your task? If they're doing it right, you're supposed to be feeding their behavior. Your job is to lose. And a lot of instructors can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they can't let somebody, you know, you'll see these kids hit them, and, you know, I spent a lot of time in a red man suit too. You see these kids hit them with a big right hand, and all this padding and everything else, they're coming at them like, you know, Jason Voorhees. And I'm like, hold on, man. If that suit, if you didn't have that helmet on and that kid hit you with that right hand, you wouldn't be standing. You know, so let's talk about what your role really truly is, right? We're gonna save lives, reduce risk, threat of injury, and if they're doing it right, we want to feed the correct behavior. And if not, then we got to do what we need to do to moderate or to change that behavior. But it's the same thing. I mean, you know, I've taught for civilians for about 7 years, and you can see that same thing, man. People soak up so many rounds because they want to shoot their buddy. I'm like, your job is to follow the script. And then the script is, if you take X amount of rounds, you take the rounds here, they're doing the right thing, your job is to lose, not to sit there and show them that their tactics or whatnot are not effective. And I think instructors sometimes miss those key components.
I think part of the reason they miss them, Lon, and back to Tony's point, and I think Tony and I've had this conversation previously about this, but when I was in charge of the academy, looked after the combatives and the firearms sections, whenever I would hire a new instructor, so we'd have an opening, we'd put the competition out to the department, the 2,200 sworn officer department, and we'd get a ton of applications for people who want to come into the training section full time, because it's cool, man. And but my criteria for an instructor was never primarily about their skill set. That was always secondary. The thing that I looked for is, and I always did 360 interviews. I went out and I interviewed their coworkers, I interviewed their teams on their line, I interviewed their supervisors. I wanted to know, what is this officer like? Are they compassionate? Are they like the first on the field and the last off? Are they the ones that are always seeing a job that needs to be done and they're digging in? Are they not complaining? Are they known for having a servant heart? And all of those characteristics, because you can't make that. My dad always said you can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear, and you've got to get the right human being to be an instructor. And so, Jamie, whether that's in teaching search and rescue or Patrick in teaching investigative training, you got to get the right human being first in that role, and then you can teach them the skills. Anyway,
it's funny things here that I think senior coppers are loath to do because they want chess pieces they can move around to different departments in different places, and so specialism is very unpopular here in Australia. It probably is there too, and saying we need to go back and look at the breadth of policing and attract people across that breadth rather than the same kind of person that you can put wherever you want to put them. I think we're losing that debate at the moment, and now with budget cuts and COVID and all the rest of it, I think it's going to be an uphill task. But if you don't find the right people, particularly in relationship-based crime, I think, well, obviously it's because what I'm passionate about, but particularly there, the skill set's quite particular. We did some research on it and asked the investigators themselves, pre and post training and after field follow-up, what they thought the main skill set was, and the top 5 were empathy, communication skills, good investigative skills, patience, and open-mindedness. Now, that's probably a good thing for all coppers, but it's definitely, if you don't have those 5 at the top of your list in relationship-based crime, you're probably not going to be any good at it. I can't remember who mentioned it before, that was probably you. That's very hard to teach too. So you've got to attract the person that's probably already got the foundations of all of that. That's fascinating. I think policing's come a long way. Certainly here in the last decade, there's a long way to go. We've got to find the right people in the right places and the right people to train them. And the other thing, I don't know how many of you have got, is there's a lot of training here that uses subject matter experts and coppers training together, and that's made a big difference in the way that people listen, because they kind of look to their peer to see if there's credibility in the new information that's coming in, and when it's their peers, they tend to see, well, I believe you to a certain extent, but now I want the expert to tell me. And that dovetailing in of those types of expertise we found to be quite effective when you want to change culture and when you want to take personalities to a new place and a new skill set. Anyway, it's fascinating. It's never boring. It's never boring.
You go back to the sports world, I mean, because that's kind of been a theme in our discussion. Rarely do you have the best athletes that gravitate towards being the best coaches. Yeah. Right? Coaches that's our job, is to get the best performance out of people. They're typically not your top tier performance athletes. They understand the game. They do. They have to. But then they also have to understand the human side and how I can get the best performance out of you. Even go back to before this whole cop thing, when I was working as a strength coach, I dealt with, as a personal trainer too, people would pick their trainer based on how a trainer looked. Some of these trainers just were genetically and chemically enhanced, didn't necessarily know that they knew how to train people, and they would injure their clients on a routine basis. And I'm like, look, who do you ask how to run, the horse or the horse's trainer? Just because somebody has a physical structure, just because somebody looks a specific way, just because somebody can shoot, it doesn't mean they can teach. And I need coaches. And I even hate the term instructor to some degree. I prefer the term coach, right? Because what we're trying to get is the best performance out of that person on a day-to-day instance. I want to coach you to greatness. But we don't always look for those capabilities. It's the guy that shoots really well. It's the guy that, he's got a black belt in something. And it's like, give me a better coach. Give me a better, somebody that deals with the human aspect, who understands the rest of the game. But that's your good instructor.
I agree.
We lost Chris jumped off, but we were going to replace him with another FSI instructor. Mike, thanks for joining us, brother. Appreciate it.
I've been listening along the whole time, guys. Just waiting to jump in.
Hey guys, I need to jump off in a minute, but Lon, that was so good, and Adam, I'm glad you brought that up, the whole the trainer thing. But that should really be maybe a future round table for you, Adam. Is you know, if take as many people who if this has become their life's work. And if you were mentoring somebody, what are the qualities? What are the things? I love what Chris said, you know, about the servant leader and compassion and what they are, you know, when they're, it's like those expressions, like, you know, hanging out with somebody and seeing how they treat a janitor or a waiter, you know, like, and seeing that they treat it, if they treat everyone the same, or they only treat people who are peer to peer or elevated status, if they treat them like, you know, that says a lot about people. And our industry is interesting because it's a kind of a parallel offshoot to the martial arts world, you know, which is my original background, which is just insane. It's like a Star Trek convention. No offense to anybody here, but it's just a bunch of people who are, in their minds, they're killers, and they've never actually experienced real violence or studied it, and everything works in a demo. And then they go teach. But we do a much better job at that. And I think that, Adam, I'd like to put that in your, you know, your to-do list, get that together, and where we're not talking about systems, we're talking about the how and the why.
I have the perfect suggestion for you. So anybody who has the all access pass, here's my salesman voice. Anybody who has the all access pass is going to get access to all the Q&As that we're going to do in August, right? So I know I've spoken with most of you about doing some type of Q&A or roundtable on specific topics. I think that's an easy one to set up. Let's set something. Tony, I'll talk with you and some of the other guys, and we'll set up a roundtable. And so anybody who has the all access pass, they'll be able to join in. And I have a feeling that's going to draw a lot of attention. So we'll probably get a bunch of people for that. And we can do that. And then we can release it again down the road too. But we can definitely set that up. So that's an easy ask. Speaking of that, let's give one away. You're going to take off, Tony. What are you, what is there something that you'd want to know from all the people that are listening to this right now that are in law enforcement? Is there a question that you would have for them that you'd want to get an answer from?
Me?
Yeah.
Geez, dude, don't put me on the spot.
No pressure, right?
Nope. I did it to Lon earlier, so it's fine.
Man, my brain, like, I feel like a goofball. I'm not going to make something up. I'll just be honest. I am so overwhelmed with.
How about this? How about how many people listening to this right now have taken a SPEAR course? How many people right now have taken SPEAR either as an in-service part of the defensive tactics program or independently as like a PDR or just the law enforcement version? If you have, comment in the comments here, and I'll pick one of you, and we'll give you a free all access pass. How's that?
Dig it.
Nice. So we'll find out who that is. You don't have to stick around for it, but we'll do that. I just wanted to give some stuff away. I got stuff to give away, and I haven't done any of it yet. We've been on this for 2 hours, and I've given like one free pass away. I feel bad.
Give more. I'm gonna roll, guys.
High gear suit. Is that cool? You cool? You're just gonna front a high gear? We'll give away a high gear suit.
Oh, we're giving away a high gear. I want in.
Ben just sent me a message. He said, "How are you? What we can do to support you? You can pay for the high gear suit that Adam just gave away."
Yeah. Exactly.
Hey, it's so good to meet you guys, and we got to do. Adam, I want to echo what Scott said. You know, this is like COVID. It's unprecedented. That word's just getting so many people together like this, and it's crazy. It's even, I think you've gotten such a diverse group. This is even more intense and beneficial to people than ILET used to be, or ILETA, you know, and no offense to ILETA and stuff like that, but like you don't have 40 of the world's best instructors or most passionate instructors when you do that. Schedules just don't permit and stuff like that. So, so great job, man. Excited to be part of it.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it.
Good to finally meet face to face. Lon, thank you for plugging Spear and High Gear. I don't know if you realized, and I'm hiring you as
I'll send you the invoice. Relax. I'll send you the invoice.
No, and before you go, I was going to say, I mean, one of the reasons to get the All Access Pass, I mean, you know, seeing Tony present and knowing what he presents, knowing what Chris Butler presents, if you don't get the All Access Pass and you miss an opportunity to get both of those instructors and digest their material more than once. If you think you're going to get everything just a single watch through, you're not. So there is a value to getting the All Access Pass and going back and getting every bit of knowledge and every nugget you can out of that. So that would be my reason, and I'm getting nothing from Adam. Trust me. So
that sounds so bad.
Hey, one of you said that the value of this was $700-800. Was that a number thrown around?
Yeah, if we charged $100 an hour, so like a webinar for $100.
This is life-saving shit. Here's a question we ask people when we're teaching, when we do our Bureau and Bodyguard course, or we're doing our cop course or 5-day course. We ask them, what would it cost you if you didn't fight back? What could it cost you if you didn't fight back? So you're crippled, you're maimed, or you're dead. Would you pay $700-800 to go back in time and maybe have a different mindset, a different idea? And the whole thing is like a digital thing. There's a lot of people who probably didn't sign up because they go, what are you going to fucking learn on StreamYard or digital? Everything. It's the why. If when you listen to all these instructors talk about why, you'll figure out the what and the how. At a minimum, you listen to stuff and you go, like I always tell people, good information doesn't displace other good information. So if you hear something and you go, I agree with that, that reinforces what you do. If you go, I disagree with that, that sets you off on a journey to figure out what you don't know or what you need to learn. So anyone listening to this, $700, that's a joke to train with Tim or with Lon or all these names, that's crazy. Okay, enough rant. I'm going to work out. Peace out, everybody. Be safe.
See ya.
Great. Good to meet you, Tony.
Bye, guys.
One of the things that it's funny that Lon brought that up. So Tony and I actually record. So two people on here so Lon and Tony both recorded extra hour sessions that are actually bonus content that will only be available to the all access holders. So you get an extra 2 hours from each one of those, or 1 hour from each one of those guys as well, which is kind of cool. Lots of stuff, man. We've talked about a lot of things already. It's just there's so much information, right? It's the people watching this right now. I think there's 74 of you still on. You're getting here's a taste of what you're going to get for the next week. So it's very a lot of it's high level. A lot of it is the understanding, right? Like Tony and Lon were just saying, it's the why behind what we do and why we teach it. And I think that's the most important thing. And in this context, that's really the best that we can do, right? We can't take somebody and run them through some type of iteration on the range virtually. Like we can try, but it's very difficult, right? I can't teach you a new tactic, defensive tactic, some type of takedown or control hold virtually. I can demonstrate it for you, but at the end of the day, you don't have that direct feedback. Here, you have the ability to absorb information over and over and over again. Especially, I mean, here's the thing. You don't even have to get the all access pass. Now I'm going to shoot myself in the foot. Each person, every day, you're going to have 48 hours access to this content. So you could watch one thing tomorrow morning and watch it again Tuesday afternoon from the Monday class. You're going to have the opportunity to do that because we need it to be open for all of the people around the world. Doesn't matter if they work days or nights. So we had to account for all of the time zones. And so that's something cool too. So that's, anyway, another interesting point. Oh, what else? My Scotch.
I have to get the all access pass because I work all week.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm on shift work the whole week. I'm gonna miss the whole conference.
All the speakers.
So I need the access
all the speakers
later.
you obviously all get it. I'm not gonna just hang you out to dry and make you pay for it. But
I'm getting it anyway.
Yeah, well, it's all going to.
It's for a good
I'll go into
cause.
charity, right? And that's the biggest thing too. Who's anyway? I asked a question here. Is anyone tracking?
I made the mistake earlier, and I said good instructors are up till like 2 a.m. perfecting their PowerPoints. Who taught before PowerPoints? There you go. I was a guy, and it was my first introduction to teaching. I was prouder than punch. I drove 6 hours to Kingston, Ontario, and the course coordinator handed me a box of acetates. Who knows what they are?
Overhead projectors, baby.
Overhead projectors, and just scribbled notes, and about a quarter of them had like a photocopy there, and said, there you go. We got no course training standards for you to review, but make sure you're ready for the morning. And that was my introduction to instruction. And me and another guy, brand new, actually some of you may know him, Dean Croker, is with the Tactics and Rescue Unit with the OPP. We said nobody will ever do that to our unit again. And that's when we kicked that into high gear, because the people that were there before were there just for money and there for training, right, to get the extra kit. And it was pretty cool to take it through the transition to making that unit sustainable, teaching unit anyway, and to carry on for the program. So the guy that replaced me, I gave him a nice hard drive with every presentation I ever done in the 10 years, and all the emails that went along with it. But I'm sure a lot of folks don't know the work that goes on behind to deliver that content that you instructors deliver day in and day out. It's not something that happens in an 8-hour day. That's for sure. So.
I think that's a great point. It's people don't realize how much time you actually put in outside of the classroom. Even for this summit, right? I mean, I was making, and I don't mean to, toot my own horn or anything, but I made a joke because I did an interview with the last one I needed to do is with Jason and Ryan this morning. So we hammered that one out because they had pre-recorded a lot of their stuff. So it was just kind of an introduction. And I hadn't gone to, so last night I was up till 5 a.m. editing course content, took an hour power nap, got up, and then we started recording our interview, and I've been up doing this since. But it's funny because that's something that is just kind of I can't remember the last 40-hour course that I taught that I wasn't up till like 3-4 in the morning that Sunday night prior to. I can't remember a course that I've ever taught that I wasn't up almost the entire night before I had to teach it, because there's always that last second preparation. You're like, oh, I could add one more thing. I can do one more thing. And I think that, like you guys were saying, I think that's something that's ingrained in the person. I don't think you can't really teach that to people, right? Like it just happens. It's just like, maybe I have OCD. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know.
Well, to that point too, I feel like, and that's why a lot of instructors that are even part of this are joining in, and they're also a student, right? So like, not only are you teaching other people, but you're constantly polishing your own skills and making sure that you're constantly learning. You're ahead of, your game, so that you understand that you're giving the best content, and kind of to Tony's point, that could save your life too, right? Depending on what you're teaching. But and I think that speaks to everybody who's even lecturing, at the summit, is everyone's going to be participating as a student as well, right? We're all, lifelong learners.
And with those skills, Amy, like you're saying, whether it's weapons proficiency or defensive tactics, our folks out there need to realize about the officer wellness component to this whole game that we're in, whether you're active duty or retired. And something Ben kicked off earlier, having that courage to realize, you know what, I need to reach out for some support, because all the pressures that I'm dealing with day in and day out, they're mounting, and I'm not alone out there. So that's why Copline's here. That's why we're blessed to be part of this summit, and we want to know that everybody out there who has a resource available to them we would like to take your call when you find yourself in that need. Because cops do understand cops, and you might get that retired officer on the line if you are dealing with any issues that may have done something or been through something similar in their careers. So just remember the officer wellness piece. It's huge.
There's a lot of what we're talking about in this summit. There's a lot of components to that, and we built that in. And when Jim and Stephanie, when I talked to you guys earlier, that was something that was a core component, right? It's prevalent throughout. And actually, Ben, it's interesting. So you're running a seminar, a conference in September, maybe, depending on what happens with COVID, the Emergency Responder Conference. But typically you guys focus on different things. This one, you guys switched it completely. The focus is all about mental health and wellness. Do you want to just maybe talk about that one for a second?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we were asked to host the National Emergency Responder Conference for 2020. Obviously, COVID changed the scheduling on us a little bit, but it'll be sometime in the fall. Originally, we had a really heavy, what we would now call external tactical focus. And then we started realizing as we looked at statistics from last year and realizing that those were just the tip of the iceberg related to officer-involved suicide, that really what was, if the definition of tactics is moving through a dangerous environment in a way that puts me in the most advantageous position and keeps me the safest, well, then it wasn't just the external that was taking us out. It was the internal. And statistically, the internal was taking us out at a way higher rate than the external. And so we started realizing that this isn't, I started for myself redefining this as a tactical skill, the ability to equip officers with a skill set that helps the officer move through that environment on a daily basis in both their personal and professional lives was a heart issue. And so we, as I sat with folks that I love and started talking with them about this that are in that profession, we realized that we should absolutely change the entire focus. And so instead of strapping on mechanics gloves and kicking doors in, which we were all eager to do, we decided that we would link up with some thought leaders in that space of psychological first aid, individual resilience planning, stress continuum identification, and start equipping officers with critical skills in those areas. And so that's the 100% the focus of the National Emergency Responder this conference this year is. And I've been blessed to see who's come to that. Well, Adam, as you found, I'm always blown away by how if you put a concept in the middle of the table, the amazing people that will pull up a chair to that concept. And say, yeah, I'd like to be a part of that. And I'm blessed by the people that I get to serve amongst on a daily basis. And I'm blessed by the people I get to serve amongst as related to that conference. And blessed to be a part of this, man. I love your heart in this, as you know, and happy to support it. And yeah, thanks for the plug.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
I wanted to piggyback on because, somebody was talking about kind of how this is, we're in unprecedented times and stuff. And one of the things that, when I listen to about the training and stuff, and I know in my private practice, I would tell you that, these guys didn't see color. And now on calls that they're going to, they are so concerned with what they're going to and what they can and can't do, not because of how they're trained, but because of the social concerns of being micromanaged by their departments as well as by society. It has really almost paralyzed them, which we haven't seen really in the past. So it's not just helping them with the concrete training, but as we're addressing that psychological component as well. And truly, not only being tried in the media, cops were prepared for pretty much anything except becoming the enemy. And that we have never been able to, because it's never occurred, where we have to psychologically prepare them and their families. I mean, there have been calls, because Copline takes third-party calls as well from spouses that are concerned about their husbands or wives going to work, them being home with children without the ability to protect themselves. We had one caller that they had already published their home address. So these are the pieces that we're really seeing now on a national basis, and really internationally. You look at what's going on all over the world, and kind of helping officers still try and figure out how to do this job, because they're going out, they're risking their lives in a way they always have, but not being served at restaurants, being treated like shit, their spouses, their kids not being able to wear anything that identifies them in law enforcement. When have we seen this? My guys are stripping thin blue line flags off of everything. So,
yeah, personal here, Stephanie, and I guess three of you there, Jim. I've been involved in some major incidents in our nation, and one of the toughest things for me was working, and I'll use it in a high level. I don't mean it this way, but working for the state, working for the government to enforce the rules, and then you're investigated by them and then tried by them, but you're not convicted by them. It's by a different group. And it was very, very tough, to go through those processes, because your trust is so deep in the system that you serve, that you believe it will overcome. And I can't imagine what's going on with with the police organizations right now. And for one thing, and I manage my retirement life now, but I can't imagine what some of the spouses and that go through, and the kids, and to know, because sometimes we're lucky as police officers, we get training, we know what's normal, you're put in abnormal situations, but your wife doesn't know why you're snapping at her, your kids don't know why you just all of a sudden come uncorked, and then you go, geez, that's not me. And then, but that's now more, I don't want to say it's normal, but they're put in those situations a lot more. And that's got to be tough for them. It's got to be tough.
And being able, they truly trust nobody at this point, because, that leadership, which is so important from the top down, is failing.
We have management. We don't have leadership in a lot of situations.
Yeah. So really not having anybody, which, we expected some type of uptick on the lines. Yeah. We certainly have seen it, but the calls are difficult. It's just, and people like, Jim, they're around for the LA riots. The wealth of knowledge, thank God, that are on those lines, to be able to, sit and be in the hole and truly understand what that person's going through is imperative. Mm-hmm. But you're right. Where spouses were so proud that their loved one was in law enforcement, they're now being hushed. Don't say anything. So and it happened overnight, and whatever agenda or what have you, it doesn't make a difference. They are now suffering in a way that they haven't, and getting help was difficult before. Now you've got COVID crap. You've got it's like a perfect storm of mental health shit. And yet some of the nicer things that's come out of it, as we're all sitting here on the video, is I've got guys who are now going to AA meetings, peace officer AA meetings in Australia, that are sitting in New York. So that part of the world, and it's kind of sitting back and saying, all right, we've got to take shit and we've got to make it gold. So how do we do that? What are some of the solutions? And when Adam put this together, clearly, and when Ben, you're adjusting kind of what you're going to be doing, it's saying, okay, we've got a problem. How do we find a solution? Not just add to a problem. We can all bitch. That's not what any one of us is giving up our time for. It's about helping find the solutions and spreading the word as much as we can to help everybody we can possibly help.
Real quickly, I want to, I'm going to give away here's the thing. If I'm going to give away 3 codes, or I'm going to give away a code here. It's only good for 3 people. So check out the chat. Save you 50% off the all access pass. So the code's live50. The first 3 people take it. After 3, it just shuts off and it won't work. So the first 3 of you who don't have the pass, you save 50% on it. It's pretty much free at that point. So make sure to get on that. Other thing too that I'd like to do is, if anybody's in the live chat that has any questions, I know it was supposed to be like a Q&A, and we've really kind of shut the public out. But if you have any questions, if you're in the live chat, you have any questions, just put them in the chat real quick for us. And if it's not me that the question's for, that's fine. Hammer them out, and we'll answer as many as we possibly can. And if not, we'll just keep talking. You have a bunch of
suggestion?
Yo,
maybe a follow-up one of these after everybody's had a chance to go through it. If they have questions after looking at and viewing the material.
Yeah. Sure.
Maybe.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, Adam, just to answer one of the questions right now, Top Line is available for active duty, retired police officer, correction officers, college PD, airport police, state police, highway patrol, DOJ, you name it, any federal agency, law enforcement. We are there for the whole gamut. We cover all of them. So you have an issue, a problem, or a full-blown crisis, you reach out to Cop Line, and you're going to have a retired cop who did their 20, 25, 30, 35 years on the job, and it's completely confidential, it's completely anonymous. You vet them. We don't care. Vet us as much as you want. And once you're comfortable, we're going to work together to solve some problems and discuss some coping skills and figure out some ways to help out your situation. We want to take your calls, so I'm answering the question that was put out by somebody. We're there for all law enforcement personnel.
As well as their families. I mean, just so you know, we have no problem, with loved ones or what have you. We actually had a mom call, which was a sweet call, actually, who was worried about her son. So who is on the job for 6 months. So just want to be there.
Sorry, Lon, to your question, so you were saying you put one on as a follow-up to this video or as a follow-up to the summit?
The whole summit.
Yeah. Well, that's what we were talking about with Tony. That's what he said. Day late and a buck short.
Hey, I brought your friend.
Oh, there he is. So people don't realize this. So Lon and I were doing a project before the summit on training for persons that are deaf or hard of hearing for officers to understand that concept. And during that, and then during the recording for the summit, the little guy there liked to have his 5 minutes of fame and kept cutting in almost every 10 minutes.
His name's Badge.
Little Australian sheepdog. Hey, Mike, you're being awfully quiet. You're not usually a quiet dude.
No.
What's going on?
I was listening along earlier, and when you guys got on the whole block and silo instructor stuff and got into the academy, and I'm like, I got to jump in. So, but since I got here, things kind of took a little different direction. But
well, what do you got to what do you got to talk about, man? Go ahead.
Just to reiterate, we all talked about how much this profession needs to focus on our instructors, and that's a big part of what I've kind of changed everything that I've been working on lately, trying to jump into that really on the deep end of that. So, I mean, the part about being enthusiastic, I'm just sitting here nodding my head before I clicked in. It's like, we know in law enforcement, the people that end up becoming instructors for a lot of places, you're good at something, and somebody taps you on the shoulder one day and says, hey, you want to teach it? You're pretty good at it. And next thing you know, you take a 40-hour class or something, you're labeled an instructor, you're off and running. And then again, you could be really enthusiastic. You could understand that skill really well. You could be a great performer. You could lead by example and do all those great things. But there's a whole nother part about being an instructor. There's a whole nother deep end that I know Lon knows very well from before doing any of this stuff in the sports science. There's a lot of science out there that we should be focusing our instructors to treat this as a profession and a craft, to get into long-term learning, recall, retention, and transfer. Obviously, transfer skill into real-world scenarios. And there's a lot of techniques and methods that are very counterintuitive to what we think real learning is, not just performance goals and evaluation. And I don't see that as being something that's going in a systemically positive way. I know there's I'll talk to certain people that I meet on here and LinkedIn and through FSI that are doing some really fantastic things. They're experimenting with some stuff. But there's a whole world of this that I think that we could be doing better for all of our instructors out there, to allow them, at least point them in the direction of where the research is, that they can study and they can bring that into their training, either academy experiences, in service, or even if it's just a single course of fire. There's something you can do to improve upon that when it comes to the area of long-term learning, retention, recall, and transfer. So that's kind of when you guys were kind of talking about that stuff, I'm like, I could jump on here for about 4 or 5 hours right now. And I'm really looking forward to
talk about it.
I'm really looking forward to looking at, everyone's presentations. The hardest thing, as you guys all know, is you get this subject and it's like, okay, you got an hour or 2 hours. And it's like, you got this giant, awesome bunch of material. It's like the hardest thing is to chop this thing down into this like little Rosetta Stone nugget and go, yeah, this isn't going to do it for you. But if I can get some ideas in a direction and maybe a bibliography on some of the research that I've looked at that's been very influential in the stuff that I've done in the academy here, then to me, it's about pointing in directions, because everyone that comes to this, let me put it this way, no one's going to be like mandated to take this training. Like I mandated my academy recruits to watch the IRT roundtables and they enjoyed it. And we had great synchronous and asynchronous discussions over it, but they're here because they want it. So we're over that hump, right, of training in law enforcement. They want it. That's great. So, once they're there, we give them a direction that they can look further into. And I think that's the best thing that we can do as far as instructors trying to put together like this little golden nugget for everybody to kind of take and go, oh, let me look at this. And then they can dive into the deep end if they wish. I'm really happy to see the stuff that you guys are doing at Copline that I wasn't aware of. Our peer support group here in Syracuse is amazing, amazing people. I know that they've connected with you guys, but I'm really interested in that presentation and that focus of attention that you guys are doing, Ben and Jim and Stephanie. The stuff you guys are talking about isn't my wheelhouse, and I know it's really important, and I can't wait to get in and check those out. So, Adam, appreciate being here. It's definitely an honor to be amongst all you folks. So, just happy to be here.
Absolutely, brother. Lon, I know you got to take off right away, but here's one thing. Virtra is one of our sponsors. They're awesome, and I know since you're their director of training, what's Virtra got going on right now, man? Is there anything kind of up and coming?
Well, we just released a 15-hour mental illness curriculum that includes utilization of the simulator as part of it. We provide presentation material. I've got a bunch of individuals that have dealt with mental illness throughout their life that we did interviews with. And those interviews are from their perspective, and actually being able to talk to them and kind of humanize their experience and what they've dealt with in interacting and dealing with law enforcement. So officers can kind of see from the other end and be able to really empathize a little bit more. Our autism piece, we kicked that out a couple of months ago. That's been getting a lot of recognition, a lot of positive information on that. Active threat, active killer stuff, we've been doing that for a long time. The funny thing is I bring some of the best instructors out there to help develop the material. And I know how much time it takes to develop about an hour's worth of training material. And I've done a lot of research on it. You're looking at a minimum of about 40 to 110 hours for every 1 hour of presentation material, refined, out the door, ready to go. So if you think about how much experience, how much time is going behind what you're offering in this training, you're talking, an unbelievable amount of work that has been put into this. So I think it's a great opportunity for everybody, and I really hope that we get more people to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. Well, right on, brother. I appreciate you, and I appreciate you taking the time today, man, and sticking through almost the whole time with us. So,
yeah.
Before you leave, I had a question. One of the things, because I had worked with the mentally ill for years, going through internships or whatever. One of the things that I found, and when I taught at the police academies, I would tell them that if they weren't struggling with a nicotine habit, to keep a pack of cigarettes in their car, because the way of calming somebody down with a mental illness for whatever reason seems to be with a cigarette.
Yeah, there's a lot of psychological reasons. I mean, I was a hostage negotiator. I've negotiated people out of some interesting circumstances for a pack of cigarettes and a Dairy Queen sundae. So you'd be surprised with just the basic human needs goes a long way in making a connection.
But particularly with the mentally ill, because of the amount that they tend to smoke habitually, just from part of their mental illness. It's just one of the things that I've noticed that was really interesting to be able to help calm down or get them to go into vehicles or what have you. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Question, is somebody teaching the hypervigilance scale? I am not familiar with this, so I would say no, because it's not part of all of the video that I've looked through. Anybody here familiar with this? No? Yes?
Give me a better definition. Maybe we know it from a different terminology.
Yeah, hypervigilance scale. Like, are they talking like white, yellow, orange, red, black?
Well, that's, that goes back to
No.
the Cooper scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Cooper's colors codes. It's it has to do with your level of anxiety at different times. So some typical questions are like, as soon as I wake up in the morning, am I immediately looking for signs of trouble? When I'm outside, do I think ahead about what I would do or where I would go if something happened?
So part of the hypervigilance, and I don't know if this is what they're asking, is also part of diagnostically post-traumatic stress. So don't know whether or not that's.
See, bud. Sorry, Lana, to take off. Go ahead, Stephanie. Continue, please.
So, hypervigilance, I think the best description that I had ever had of hypervigilance was paranoia based in reality. So for myself, I raised my kids. So I've been treating cops for over 30 years, and that's really the population. So when we would go to our mall in our really nice area, I would say to the kids, okay, so we watch for people that are wearing baggy shirts. I watch how they're swinging their arms. We've got large, cement posts that I would tell the kids, okay, if mommy tells you need to get behind that. Now, as I have always said, for your average, Jewish middle-aged woman walking around the mall, I am a fucking lunatic. However, for your average cop, what I'm doing is absolutely normal. So hypervigilance is that paranoia based in reality. My reality is very different than other people's reality. Put that onto a cop where they're exposed to stuff, and now add to it, you have the entire, it seems like society has changed and has made them the enemy. So that hypervigilance has to be even greater than we've ever seen. When we had those New York City police officers who got sick after being served a drink because they put, was it bleach, antifreeze, some horrible shit. So that hypervigilance, is it paranoia? No, it's reality. So it helps keep you guys alive. It's a fine line, boy.
Real quick, we're kind of I think we're getting to the end here. I'm not getting too many more comments on the thing here. So here's what I want to do. Ben, CTP, Complete Threat Preparedness, one of our major sponsors here for the summit. Is there anything that you want to share with us before you take off, brother?
No, just love you guys. Excited to be a part of this. Thank you so much, Adam, for putting this together. I'm just so blessed to see this team that's come together around the information. I hope everyone that is involved in law enforcement and everyone that loves someone that's involved in law enforcement has the opportunity to take advantage of it. Thanks so much for putting it together, brother.
Thanks, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, take care, guys. Bye.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Last bits and pieces for everyone here. Amy, Jamie, Mike, Jim, or Stephanie. Anything that any of you want to share here before we jump off?
I'll just say quickly, for the promo code at the end of my session for the ICPP crime prevention designation, the promo code is going to be good for a year. So I think it's like June of next year. That way people have time to sign up. I know we've got some training coming up in the fall time. The dates are not solidified just yet. So there's going to be a link that you can go to. You can sign up with your email address and you'll get a notification, or you can just check back at the website, iscpp.org. And we've got some other trainings coming up next year as well because of the pandemic. A lot of the ones in Arizona were canceled this year. So anyway, we're going to be putting up new dates, and we are also looking into going virtual. That way we have more farther outreach internationally instead of having to come to police services to set up our training. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Would you like to promote any of the other 16 organizations?
I I'm just dealing with the crime prevention one today. But I love that that Copline's present and all these other different topics, because I think that, again, coming with that holistic approach and everything's interconnected. So, which is one of the reasons why I'm so involved on so many different levels, because you can't really look at, when you're looking at the holistic way of the organization and what we need with our people and what we deliver to our community, it's really every single topic is so important. So yeah,
and go
this is
if
great
you're
to
on
be a part
Instagram,
of,
check
and
out
thanks for
the
having
Yoga
me.
Cop. Right. Awesome. Okay,
Yes.
thank you, Amy. Jamie, Mike, any?
That's I'm the Yoga Cop. I do a lot of yeah.
Oh no, it's good.
Thank
Go ahead.
you.
Go ahead. Talk. Go ahead. You're good. Sorry, there's a lag. Yoga Cop, you do officer wellness. Some stretching that I can't do. Lots of stuff.
And for us, Adam, if everybody wants to just go to our webpage, it's copline.org. And if any agency is interested in some material, whether it's a PTSD card or a flyer or a poster, there's a link where you click on that material and make sure we get some out to your department, your peer support counselors, your EAPs, whatever you want, your contacts, and look us up. We'll be around all week.
Awesome.
We are truly honored to be here. I mean, Adam, like everybody else, thank you. Thank you so much for asking us. It is really, truly a privilege to be part of such an amazing, particularly first.
It's the first. It's just the first. There's going to be so much more coming down. I've had a chance to speak with some of our instructors, but there's obviously this was kind of the test run, right? I think we've proven the model. I think that there's enough buy-in. We already have over 10,000 officers signed up, right? So, and that doesn't include all of the agencies that we're giving access to. So, and agencies from anywhere from 20 officers to 5,000 officers.
Amazing.
And so, and the more this gets out, so if you're watching this and your agency and you think this is beneficial for your agency, send me an email, adam@iletsummit.com. I will personally invite your chief, your training director, whoever it is. I'll send them a personal invitation for your agency to attend this training, and so that we can get this into as many officers' hands as possible. Mike, any last words from you, brother?
No plugs, brother. I just want to say thanks again and echo what everybody else is saying. I know you put so much energy into this. I just hope that everything is already turning out greater than your expectations, and we keep taking it forward. My recruits that just graduated on Friday, thank you as well for all of the insights and all the information they learned in the IRT, in the podcast that they listen to in the evening time. But again, great job. Happy to be a part of it.
Thank you for reminding me. I haven't even plugged my podcast once during this whole summit. I should probably do that.
Yep.
So, and here's a funny thing. So the Tactical Breakdown podcast I started that last year. It's the largest podcast in the world for law enforcement training. It's been downloaded in over 75 countries. We have over 20,000 listeners. It's massive. And so if you're watching this and you haven't checked it out and you think you may be interested in podcasts, you can just search Tactical Breakdown on your favorite podcast player, wherever it is, and you'll find us. And yeah, so check that out and get some more information. We're going to be giving that away too, as a bunch of bonus content. A lot of the roundtables that we've done, we'll make sure people have links to those because it's all great content. It's like extra 3 hours every month of training content, which we'll be doing again this Thursday. Another roundtable just like this with instructors as well. So thank you, Mike, for the reminder. I appreciate it.
And get some sleep.
No, I don't sleep. That's the thing. The government spent hundreds of thousands of dollars making sure that I can function with very minimal sleep, and I'm going to take advantage of it. Jamie, my brother. So you guys don't know this. Jamie, a couple months before, what was it, last year? November?
October. November. Yeah.
November. Jamie came down. He was teaching a SAR course just in northern Manitoba. And we had the chance to meet up in Winnipeg. We went to a Jets game, and I got to meet some of his instructor team. We had a pretty good time there, and he took me out for dinner. So, Jamie, thank you for that. But what's left for you, man? What's going on your end of the world?
Life is good. We're still working towards improving lives in northern remote communities in Canada, putting together proposals for First Nations communities, and making sure they have the same response that we would have here in Southern Ontario. And so that is good. I'm also coming on the border of geekism. I don't even know if that's a word, of creating a first text for Canada for search and rescue. So that is something I'm sure my high school teachers are laughing at when that book gets published. But that's what I'm really working on. And I want to say kudos to you and to the instructors, because the detail that's put into the selection of the instructors, your people, the detail of the training that they provide will help them in the operations and their mental wellness after. And to just say, hey, everything that we're going through, we're a family of law enforcement or military, and we need each other. And that's the ripple effect for this is it won't be measurable, because I mean, we could tell stories, probably from this evening session alone that will have touched some people. So good work for you, really good work. So that's cool.
Thanks, brother. All right. So for those of you who are still on here, tomorrow morning or this morning, wherever the hell you are, or in the next, 6 hours, 8 hours and 15 minutes, you're going to get an email for the day one of the summit. So everybody, doesn't matter if you're an all access pass holder or not, you're going to get an email, the link to the main page with all of the course content on it for day one. Again, you're going to have access to that for 48 hours before it locks off if you don't have the all access pass already. And in addition to that, for our all access pass holders, you'll have access to the membership side of things. They will be the content will be unlocked at the same rate as it will be for the free summit. And the reason is because there's so much extra content, the downloadable resources, the giveaways, the discounts, just the sheer volume of extra stuff you're going to get. It takes a while to get it all into the system. So by the end of the week, you'll have access to all of that. So take advantage of the free pages to watch the courses. And then after this week, you're going to be able to go back for life to check absolutely everything out. So just be prepared for that so it doesn't surprise you. Thank you to the 5 of you for sticking it out with me for this long. Really appreciate it. I really appreciate the love and support. And this is the first annual. We're already planning for the next one. And so bigger and better things for next year. But let's get the training out this year and get it to as many officers as possible. So thank you guys. Thank you to all the listeners and attendees here. And we will see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Yeah.